Welcome, everyone, to our latest episode of The Testing Room, where three of the gaming industry's best video game consultants who have never actually consulted on a video game bring you new topics each and every week. I'm Alex, a.k.a. The Godfather.
I'm Christian, a.k.a. Pseudo45. I thought you were going to say, welcome to the three burpiest consultants on the... I thought you were going to...
It's not going to be in, but now everyone knows. Okay.
I know, but it's still been funny.
I'm Preston, a.k.a. No Beard.
You are No Beard. You are very clean-shaven right now. How's it feel? Is it itchy?
No, it doesn't itch at all. It's a little breezier. It's a little more breezier because it's getting a little chillier out here. But yeah, it's fine. You do it every once in a while. You get a wild hair. I had a reason for doing it, but I did it, and then I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why we don't do that. Because Preston starts turning this way. I was like, don't really notice this too much when there's a bunch of hair covering up, do I? Nope, sure don't. Preston's going to try to face this way the entire time.
What was the reason that you shaved it off?
My chin was breaking out a bit and wouldn't stop breaking out. I'm like, fuck you then. I was like, burn it all down. Burn it down. So that's what I did. And it's nice and clean now, yeah.
See, so if I have that problem, I just deal with it because if I shave, I have super sensitive skin, so I'll break out from shaving.
Oh, so you're saying worse.
And then I'll be itchy. Gotcha. I'll be itchy for like 4 days.
No,
so like for me,
the itchy is the worst. It happens to me too.
Yeah, it is.
I have baby skin.
Give it a minute, and as soon as this gets a little bit longer, you'll start getting a little itchy, for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, you gotta burn earth.
Any of those female listeners, they just won't understand what it's like just to shave and
I'm not going that
get
far,
so itchy.
Women do shave their face. It's a thing.
I'm kidding. So, all right. Let's before we dive into our weeks, as always, let's jump into Preston's comment corner.
Yeah, I don't have personally anything. I checked the emails and all the comments. No one's saying anything, so there's no comment here. All I'm gonna say is that we lost the part 3 for our gameplay of Metro, so I want to give a shout out to PB Horror Games. That's who I decided to take their footage from. Like, you gotta walk through with no commentary. I'm just gonna take the last third of that, and I'm just gonna put it down there at the bottom, and we'll use it. Sent you an email.
Yeah.
So if they don't want it up there, they'll let me know. And if you ever notice there's no gameplay on part 3, that would be why. Until then, it's staying right there. I don't think it's gonna matter. But
it will be fine.
For being the nice
but shout
guy,
out,
it also falls under fair use, but that's fine.
It does, but still, even so, I'm like, just in case you don't like it.
And we cited our sources.
True.
We did,
but
it's in the details.
But yes, yeah. Please, whatever you do, sir, we appreciate it, sir, madam. Don't turn out to be a shitty human being. We don't want to have to go back and take that stuff down later.
I was looking at it. Apparently, from Ireland. So, shout out to Ireland.
That doesn't mean anything.
No,
that could go
doesn't.
Yeah,
it was a cool country, thoh.
Yeah, Christian went there.
I enjoyed my time there.
Never been. Would love to go. I'm sure it is. A wonderful place. In fact, it's funny. We'll jump into our weeks in a second, but playing Final Fantasy 16.
Here we are.
There's one place in there, I don't remember if it's Sandburg or what, but it is very much like modeled after Ireland with like the huge cliff sides.
Sandbreck,
and, like, the castles.
Yeah.
Sandbreck, that's what it, It's very much modeled after that. It's very pretty. So anyway, with that being said, let's dive into our weeks. Who wants to kick things off? What do we do?
I can do
it. How many
it.
games did you finish, Christian?
Go for it.
2.
All right. Not the least, but not the most you've ever done.
One pretty big fucking game.
Yeah. One of them was a little small game. But so...
How much... with the big one, how much did we watch on the first day of streaming?
Like 30% maybe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's 5 chapters, and I was still in chapter 2.
Not Twitch streaming on twitch.tv/testingroompod.
No. Streaming
to us
just for us.
On Discord for our pleasure eyes during work days.
Yeah. Which was great because I was super busy that day, so like I'm typing stuff and watching stuff on my computer, but then like had your stream off on the other monitor that I could just keep up with, which was really nice.
Yeah. So... But we'll get into what I was playing. So the first thing I finished was I had just started it as of our last recording, but Bomber of Cyberpunk. So that is done, with a good chunk of the collectibles also done. Boy, is that game just exactly what you would want out of a Jet Set Radio sequel.
Hallelujah, praise.
Yes, like it is. Like it's not. So it's one of the times that I can remember that's like the game is actually a spiritual successor. Like a lot of times, spiritual successors are like, "Hey, it's just that game again. Like we didn't do anything special. Like it is just that game again." This is not that. It is what you would want out of a sequel. Like it improves and expands upon all of the ideas that made the original good, and they just were like, if Sega won't do it because they're fucking cowards, then we'll do it. And so that's what they did, and it's perfect. Like it's great. But it is unapologetically that game. So like if you are the type of person who, and I don't know, you just don't have taste, but if you were the type of person who played Jet Set Radio or Jet Set Radio Future and you were like, I don't care about this, you're wrong, but also this would not be for you. You can safely skip it. Like it's not going to do anything to change your mind. Like it's just a better, more polished, iterated on, like in that style. Like they made a sequel to Jet Set Radio, which is awesome, and it's honestly something that should be applauded regardless of where you fall on it, because like I said, it's really hard for people to actually nail the spiritual successor without just basically releasing the same thing. So that's great. The next game that I finished, and I'm putting finished in quotes, is Armored Core. So I started and finished Armored Core in this time. That happened, but because we did the
2 weeks worth of not podcasting, yes.
Yeah. The split record there.
Yeah.
So, but man, Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon is an amazing game.
It's good.
On the one hand, I have a hard time still believing that it's real, even after all the hours that I put into it. Like I'm just sitting here being like, I cannot believe that I'm playing another Armored Core game, a franchise that for all intents and purposes was dead. It was never going to come back. And like I was talking about this last night, but like me and a friend of the show AOL account, but he was like, we were joking about the fact that we've made plenty of comments over the years like, if FromSoft wasn't fucking cowards, they would bring back Armored Core, knowing full well that they were like, they'll never do that. And sure enough, they did it. And then there was the worry of, okay, they did it, but are they just going to make it like a Souls game? Because then I'm also not interested. Like, I don't want that again. And so I'm very happy to report that is not the case. It is an Armored Core game. They've obviously taken a lot of lessons from making a more polished and better user experience, because it's not as obtuse as some of the older games were, but it is still an Armored Core game. Like it is, you are going out on like select missions. The missions last anywhere from like a minute and a half to potentially like 10 minutes, depending on what happens. But it is, man, it is something. Now, Preston knows that, Alex, you didn't see this, and I can probably show you after we get done recording, because I don't think you're going to play this game, right?
Armored Core?
Yeah.
No, so I'm actually glad you streamed it, because like based on my experience with FromSoft and then like the cutscenes of this, like that game looks incredible. But I'm glad I watched it, because after watching it, it just reaffirmed that like, yeah, the mech games, like they're not my thing. It's the fast pace and the ice skatiness and other stuff. Like while I enjoy watching it, I'm not gonna like the intricacies of playing it.
Yeah, so there's a set piece that I want to show you, because Preston saw this boss the other day on a stream that he was watching. It is so fucking cool what they did for one of these fights. But anyway, so so I finished that, and then as soon as the game finishes, they basically pull a Nier Automata and are like, hey, New Game Plus starts immediately, but shit's gonna be a little different this time around. And so you'll get some, it starts with like a special intro scene based on whatever ending you chose before, and then it's like, now you can go back and do the other thing, but also you're gonna have like alternative missions that like, or like missions that have a different twist on them, and like different dialogue and all this other stuff. So you have that, and then after I finish that run, a third run will start from there, and it's like where everything sort of converges, kind of. So I don't want to get too into the spoilers because it's still a brand new game, but that's where it's at right now. So I'm very, very happy with that game. But yeah,
It looked good. It
Man,
did. Like watching
really
you
good.
play somebody that enjoys it. It was fun watching because like you were into it and like you just know the movement and everything else. Like that was fine. But yeah.
and what's funny
there was a
is that I've loved watching the sort of clash between the two like communities that
bases.
FromSoft has created, where there's really old school Armored Core fans, and those are split down the middle. There are some Armored Core fans that are like, you know, I'm mad that the thing I like is popular now, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, you're a moron. Like, you should be happy that this game is back and that more people than ever are playing it. Because
That has to be a small subsect though, because like most of the people I see
Yes.
say that, like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that
Yes.
people are finding this game
Most
and maybe
people-
it'll lead to more.
most people are like me, where it's like, this is very clearly the best selling Armored Core game that they've ever made, and I hope that it makes more. I hope that they make an Armored Core 7. I hope that it goes or at least DLC for this game. Who knows? I don't know, but do something, because this is fantastic. That being said, there's also these like Souls players that I've been seeing playing, and they're like, some people are like, it's so punishing and the difficulty gets unfair and yada yada yada. And the thing that makes me laugh about it is because they're like, this is just like a Souls game. They made it like a Souls game, and I'm like, first, it's nothing like that, but also, the only reason that you're finding it so difficult, and they get mad when people call this out, but it's because you're not engaging with the game the way that it's telling you to engage with it. You're playing it like it's Elden Ring, when you need to be playing it like it's an Armored Core game. Like, when you're getting fucking face rolled by a boss, the game isn't telling you, like in Elden Ring, where it's like, oh, we'll go somewhere else, like level up or do something, and then come back when you're stronger. The game is like, no, there's no way to get stronger. So what you're doing is, what the game is telling you is, hey, you're doing this wrong. Like, there are solutions that work and there are solutions that don't work. And so what you need to do is take your ass into the shop and buy some new parts and figure out, okay, what happens here? Like, you guys saw, like, there's a particular boss in Chapter 2 that is this crazy-ass spider-looking mech thing, and the weapons that I had in the beginning were not cutting it. I was getting smoked. Like, and then I went and bought the pile bunker, and all of a sudden now, chunks of damage are falling off this thing when I get in there, and I'm like, well, there it is. Like, and then it's like, oh, I'm having a hard time dodging these moves. I need to drop my weight down. I need to go light. I need to go light and fast so that I can get out of the way of some of these moves. And then the game is like, congrats, you beat it now. And you're like, done, moved on. And now, my second time through, I'm already back into Chapter 3. So I've already passed. I was one cycling bosses that took me multiple attempts before with the build that I ended up beating the game with. And it's like, but that's what I'm getting at, is like, I think people so badly who have never played an Armored Core game, but they've become from some of our fans through the Souls series, so badly are like, I want this to be a Souls game, so I'm going to play it like that, where I'm just going to create the one character that I want, and then I will never deviate from that. It's like, you're going to have a bad time, man. I don't know what to tell you, because it's not like that at all. Like,
That was my frustration with Elden Ring, remember? I built a character that I loved, and then the final boss, they're like, hey man, you're going to have to completely change it up if you want to move forward. It's like, nah. But I told you that I predicted that's what would happen. There would be a ton of fans and a ton of streamers that would hop into this game and realize that it wasn't a Souls game and be like, oh, it is like exactly that. Oh, it's too hard. And they're going to like crap on it, right? Because of that reason. And I think a lot of people will probably fall off or not finish it, much like they did with Elden Ring, because they think like new, accessible, FromSoft, and unlike me, they ran out and bought it versus just watching it to decide, like, is it going to be for you or is it not?
What's funny is I've actually been surprised at the percentage. So, we live in an era now where you can see the percentage of people that finish a game, right? So, and I don't know the percentage for the other ending, but what I can tell you is, so last night when I finished it, I saw the percentage pop up for the ending that I chose, and it actually has 30%, which I know it sounds low for listeners who might not be in it, but that's actually very high. Like, most games do not get finished. Like, you can look in the achievements for, like Final Fantasy 16, and it's probably like 18% for people who see the ending. Like, it's very low, the amount of times that people actually finish a game. Like, I think one of the highest rated ones is Last of Us, like the original, like on PS3 or whatever. And I think even that is still like 58 to 50, like 59% of people who played it finished it. And it's like, I mean, that's still crazy. Half the people that bought one of the best-selling games of all time just never finished it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but the game has only been out for like a week, so I'm actually very surprised that we're that high on one of the endings, right? I did not expect that, so that's really cool. So, honestly, like I said, I wish it all the success in the world, and I hope it continues to do it, because I'm over here watching more people get into mechs than ever before, and so it is just sunshine and rainbows over here. I'm excited.
Would you say it's your favorite mech game?
No.
Okay.
I mean, by the end of it, maybe, but it's probably going to be firmly cemented as my second favorite mech game. I don't know that there's anything that will ever beat Zone of the Enders 2. Which, if we've seen our list, Zone of the Enders and Zone of the Enders 2 are on my gaming book club list. So eventually those will come around, and I will drag you through them. But
You don't need to drag me. I'll play it.
I know you won't. I know, yeah. But Zone of the Enders 2 will probably be cemented as my favorite one ever. Okay. Solely because I think, one, it's all dumb, but they're my reasons nonetheless. I think my actual answer is, I think the designs and like everything about the mechs in Zone of the Enders are my favorite. Like, they're just really cool, futuristic, hyper, like it's Hideo Kojima's other game. So like when he was doing Metal Gear, Zone of the Enders was the thing he was doing on the side. So all of them are very Kojima inspired as far as design is concerned. So they look fucking awesome. But also, their name for the mechs are Orbital Frames, which I think is a fucking awesome name for mechs. And then two, there's a thing called, and I'm sure you'll be able to find a clip of it, Preston, but there's a move called the Vector Cannon that is in, and I think I've even sent this to you before, but it is one of, if not the coolest looking things in video games. Like, it is, it's fantastic. So I think that title will probably firmly be held by Zone of the Enders 2, but Armored Core 6 is an absolute firm second, if not, like, who knows, by the end of it might take it, because I've had some fucking moments in this game that have been fantastic. And the story's great, which is like so insane to say about a From Software game, period, but also an Armored Core game. So for those who aren't aware, like, Armored Core games before are like, you show up, you do the missions, you mess with your mech for 3 hours, and that's it. Like, there's a general loosely, like, hey, we're doing this now, and then this next briefing comes up, we're doing this now, and then this one's like, okay, you've done this, you're doing this now, and that's basically it. It is like the most bare bones, lackluster thing. I've played those games a shit ton of times. I couldn't tell you a single thing that happens in Armored Core 1 through 5. So, but 6, I have loads to talk about. Like, it is mind-blowing how much story that they packed into here. And you can tell that they took a lot of notes from the people who did Ace Combat 7 because the story is told in a very similar manner to the way Ace Combat is. And it was a great decision on their part. Fantastic. Like, man, it's all good. So, but yeah, that's what I've played, man. I've played those 2 games, and I will continue to play. Oh, I played a little bit of Baldur's Gate 3. We played obviously the co-op with Jake. Yeah. I did some single player, but I have since Armored Core came out. I think I talked about Baldur's Gate 3 before, so I don't know that we need to go into it again. But I haven't played since Armored Core came out because Baldur's Gate is going to be a game that I will get to. Like, it will happen. It's just I know
that's the same. That's the same for me. Like, I know if I don't get to it even on my single player, we'll have our co-op stuff going, I'll
towards the end of the year when games start dying down, I'm like, okay, I can go through my single playthrough.
My single player playthrough will be there whenever I will because it's just going to be that game. I know it's going to be like 130 hours. So like I just want to.
So, can I ask really quick then about another big game that's coming out in 2 days? What are you planning on doing? Starfield? Are you letting Starfield sit for a bit? What's your initial reaction pre-release?
I'm probably gonna play Reverie. Yeah. So Starfield does technically come out on the 1st, but only if you pre-ordered the Super Gamer Edition.
Oh, so it's a week later then, I guess.
So it's on the 9th. Yeah, it's on the 9th for regular humans.
Regular humans.
I will probably be playing Reverie after Armored Core. So I will get to Starfield sometime after that. My plan for Starfield is I'm very interested in it. Like I won't make it sound like I'm not interested in it because I am. But it will probably be my couch game. So like I'm gonna install it on the Xbox as opposed to like my PC. And whenever I'm just hanging out, like if we're just in the living room hanging out and Alexa's reading or whatever, I'll probably dick around on Starfield. But that's the plan. I'm gonna do Reverie next after I finish Armored Core. I don't know of anything that's coming out that's like the most pressing time-wise. And so I'm going to play Reverie so I can be current with the Trails games. And then I'll probably do Starfield and Baldur's Gate from there. And then after that, that will probably take me into Jedi Survivor.
I wish I was sitting in that position. I think I'm looking forward to Starfield, and then I just know that I still have Baldur's Gate to play, and then we have Spider-Man coming out. You may actually have a Warhammer game coming out. I don't know if it's still on slate or if it's getting pushed back.
It is technically on slate. They say that it is going to happen in 2023. I
don't think it is either, but we'll see.
I will believe it when I see it. Now, here's the thing. I would love to be wrong. If you give me another Space Marine game in this fucking stacked ass year, I am here and I will play the shit out of it. I just personally don't think it's going to happen. But my plan is to play those games, and that will take me, and then I'll get to Jedi Survivor, and then after that will probably take me into Halloween time when Alan Wake 2 drops, and I will just go into Alan Wake 2.
There's it's funny because I'm thinking of all the games I'm gonna play and all the games I'm not gonna play from. There's a new a dragon game coming out. I'll probably get Super Mario RPG because Allie and I will play that together.
Assassin's Creed, Alex.
Are
you gonna skip Assassin's Creed? Is this gonna be the one you skip?
You're skipping it.
I was gonna say, I'm like, he keeps on skipping and saying it.
I think I told you guys even in chat. I was like, I forget what it was, but it was essentially me going that should not be a priority, and I should not care about that game. But they already have my money, so let's just write
Assassin's
it off
Creed
and move on.
games. It's okay.
Yeah,
they skipped,
but I try to think. Even if I don't finish all the games that I start and want to play, I think I've still already finished 10 that came out this year alone
that are good.
For end of the year conversation.
People are some of them are getting pushed off the ledge real fucking quick.
We're gonna have to do a round of 64 bracket for this thing.
Dude, the game of the year this year is gonna be brutal. It's honestly, I can't imagine normally we're like, oh look, we did it in 2 parts. This one's gonna be like, yeah, welcome to part 5, where we're.
I'm excited because it's not just going to be us. Like, it's going to be the Game Awards and everything. And I'm sure, like, there's going to be some frustrating things, but just to watch the stacked awards, it's going to be impressive.
Others, yeah,
There's going to be I don't know that the awards are even going to be that stacked. The things that are going to get on there, everyone's going to go, "What the fuck?" Like,
the award show is the award show, but like,
and then there's going to be, if anything, this year will be the year of the most egregious snubs of all time. Where like,
Well, I assume Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy, and maybe a couple other big
and
ones
those
are
make
just gonna,
sense.
like, clean
Those
house and everything.
Those are the 2
Yeah.
games that make sense. But then like Baldur's Gate 3 is going to get left off a list that Assassin's Creed Mirage is going to make it onto, and people are going to be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like I'm telling you.
As an Assassin's Creed fan, for some reason, like, I think by now I just have Stockholm syndrome, like, is what it is.
Probably.
But as an Assassin's Creed fan, there is no way that game will make a top 10 list. Personally, like, it can't. Like, if it makes yours, something's wrong. I think we all know, Preston.
we do.
We all know. We all know.
But we do.
I hope you at least enjoy your time with it.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I may not. I mean, there's been plenty of Assassin's Creed games that just I hated. So there's that.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
But that's me, man. That's it. That's all I've done.
All right.
All right. I'll go next. Mine will be quick because you mentioned we played Baldur's Gate together as a friend group, and that was fun. It's fun to actually have Jake involved versus like having him DM, and some of the funny decisions where he was just like, I'm playing the character, so it's just like, no, you angered me, you're gonna die now.
Yep.
Like we're gonna fight this out. I'm over here like in every playthrough just trying to be a pacifist for all intent and purposes. Jake's like, not kill. We're killing everything.
I
He's an
found
action man.
One really the funniest thing I think about Baldur's Gate is this, the like you were saying, that just the wacky stuff that the game will let you get, like the decisions that normal games wouldn't let you do it, like it'll just let you do these things like
Friendly fire.
I had a boss who was giving me a lot of hard troubles, and I was like, damn dude, this thing is fucking difficult, like I don't know. And then I was sitting there and I was like, I realized that I'm fighting this thing on like an isolated platform, and I'm like, I wonder if I could just shove it off the side of this cliff. And then like
You rolled high enough with the push.
I did it, and you roll, and they just go flying, and the game goes like 400 XP. You completed it, and I was like you're just like what? So I just thought it's really funny. But yeah, like in Jake's case, like there was, I don't remember, we were like trying to convince somebody to let somebody down, and he was like, "Fuck this, attack you," and it was like, Jesus, oh okay, I guess we're in it. Like,
Yeah.
Also, I don't know what happened when I friendly fired shot Preston in
Oh,
the leg.
it's something that happens
Like,
often.
Enemies were fighting, and I pulled the circle around. I couldn't, because it was one of the smaller, like, little brain enemies, the mind flayer enemies. But like they're like small little minions.
no,
and it was
in the beginning, it was totally something different. You just you examined the tadpole thing, and then just
but I knew that was going to happen because I had done it already. So I
This
just
one's
that
the
was
one where he
for fun.
shot me with an arrow.
No, he's talking about the one where I shot him in the leg with an
right.
arrow. So I don't know what happened. Like I saw the little mind flayer thing running around. Or no, I didn't see it. I knew it was running around, and I didn't see it. So I was moving my mouse around because it's my turn. And the first thing that like caught the cursor's attention was like Preston Circle, I guess, and it was purple. And I didn't notice, like my brain just did not process that it was purple. And I was just like, oh, first thing, like, bam, target. And then it just shot Preston in the leg, and I was like, well, there's that. You're going to take 4 damage because I just shot you in the leg.
Did. Level 1.
Yep. So, you didn't die, though. It was okay.
No, I didn't.
No, but then also, in fairness, Preston, you brought it back by hopping in a
fell-
hole and starting us in a
I did
fight.
not mean
that we
to
had
fall in that hole. I didn't know you can go in that hole because it was stopping me from going in the hole until I got to a certain point. I was like, oh, you can come down here this way. I'm like,
Man, your character
So
just
that's-
hopped in there pretty easy. It didn't even.
Well,
it
I will
wasn't
be
like
very aware of precipices from now on.
To Christian's point, though, that's another one of those things, like this game lets you do whatever, because there's the exit we came out of, you could lockpick if you wanted to go in it. and go in the whole back way and skip all those guys. You could go to the door and try and like talk your way in, or you can do what we did, which is like drop down a hole and just surprise everybody. And the game does not tell you, like, it's just whatever you. I went down the hole in my playthrough because I knew that area was there. I thought maybe we try and talk through like the door, which is what I think Jake was doing before Preston jumped down and just started fighting.
Probably.
But like, I did that accidentally when I played in my playthrough. Like straight up, I just shot the thing and it fell through, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I was like, "Oh, we're in a fight now." But like, the fact that the games just say whatever you stumble upon is probably the way you're going to experience this is just really well done.
Very cool.
It's really
Good game.
cool.
For sure.
What else have I played? I've played
Final Fantasy 16.
Final Fantasy 16. The game. So with the game we're going to talk about tonight, I played, and then I think the only other thing I played is Final Fantasy 16, to be honest, because I am plowing my way through it. I was, as everybody knows, I said I was going to feel bad if Preston beat me on this, for no other reason than just like, I have a lot of Final Fantasy finishes to my name, and Preston just finished his first, so I'd feel like a really lazy a-hole if I just like
And Preston had a hell of a lead.
Yeah,
My question is,
he did.
would you have gone as hard as you are now if you didn't know I was playing, or if I wasn't like being, hey, I'm ahead of you?
I probably would have continued to waste time on things that I didn't need to waste time on, right? Like, because I shelved that game
Because you were making
out of,
leaps
like,
and
not even
bounds, like you were going. Like as soon as you found out I was
Not-
ahead of you, you're like, fuck this, son. Like I'm not nothing else until Final Fantasy 16 is over.
So and I'll be honest, it wasn't even really where you were, Preston. It was mostly Christian, who every time we would get
It's a
on
race.
would just no, not even that, just the reverse psychology of like, you're never gonna finish this game before the end
Now,
of the year.
in fairness,
It's not gonna happen. You're not gonna do it.
I'm
Like,
still proven correct because you stopped playing Baldur's Gate 3 to finish this game. But had you continued to play Baldur's Gate 3 the way you were, you would have never finished this game.
Yeah, but it was Preston was like, Christian was giving me heck like every time we would log onto the podcast or just be chit chatting. Like, oh, so you're doing this, whatever. Like, you could
Sure,
play
not playing 16,
You're
huh?
never gonna finish it. But I'm happy to say I am about to finish it. I've done all the side quests. I've done all the hunts. It's very, very good. I've gotten all the collectible things like that show up in your house, if your room, if you will, except for 2. And I don't know why I'm missing those 2 unless they come later or at the end or something happens, because
an
like
epilogue.
I've done everything else, right? My initial thoughts of this so far, and I don't know, Preston, how you're going to feel, because I don't know all the side quests you're doing, because there's a couple of companion quests that are not the green pluses, they're just the green circles. I believe that Jill and Clive are among the top best fantasy relationship characters
for sure.
Yeah.
in a game. Like, they are written
I also
so
think,
well.
So that side quest chunk that you're doing is like, I think that 16 has some of the most boring and like just filler ass side quests, with
Forgettable, yeah.
but with the biggest and best payoff that has ever been in a Final Fantasy. Like you're doing all these and you're like, oh my god, I just want to get this done. Like I want this thing off my map so I don't have to look at it anymore. And then because those quests are required to get the big emotional payoff ones at the end, you're like, oh god, this is 100% worth it. Oh my god, this is 100% worth it. But you don't see it unless you do them. It's just it's wild.
Yeah. They have done a really good job at aging up the series and making it more mature for mature audiences when it comes to like the relationship piece and a little bit more emotion, a little bit more violence, but also like not going too egregious and over the top, right? Like it's not, as much as I love The Witcher, like I'm sure a lot of people could be like, oh, I could do without some of the sex scenes in The Witcher, right? Like I get it. This game has a lot of the heart and a lot of the emotion without some of the other stuff that you could find issue with. I just think they balanced it really well.
Also,
It's gorgeous.
Speaking of violence, since you guys are both past this point, man, there's a certain character's mother who really gets what she fucking deserves, and I wish that I wish it was more violent than what happened.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Some of the I know people were kind of complaining of like, oh, the story is like it's super JRPG and kind of goes off the rails and so on, and they have
Yeah,
the
it's
active
fantastic.
lore because of
It's a Final
yeah,
Fantasy
and they're like
game.
all the, but they also say like we have the active lore because of how confusing it is. I have not found the battle between these three kingdoms confusing at all.
No, I don't even
And
use the active
I've been
lore
able to
stuff.
follow.
And I hope
Me
that
either. I haven't either.
I hope that the active lore thing is a thing in games to come. Not just Final Fantasy games. I hope more games do that. Holy shit! The ability to pause a game and be like, okay, I'm taking a break, or I need to take, whatever. Life happens, right? The ability to come back, press start, and go, who is this again? And then it just like break it down for you, and you go, right, okay, I'm back now.
Yep.
Like that is fantastic.
Yep. I love that, but I found the story super easy to follow, and I think they've done a really good job at managing this like interesting battle along the world. So, anyway, I'm about to finish that. It has been fantastic, to the point where like I'm almost sad to see it go off the list. Like I kind of wish I still had it to look forward to, but it is what it is. That is the year that we live in. Because if it
Okay.
wasn't for that, maybe it'd be a New Game Plus. But unfortunately, we got too much stuff to play. And then I think that's it. Other than the game that we're going to talk about tonight, which is the part 1 of our book club, I've had a little bit of 14, but we don't need to talk about that because that game exists forever. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Preston, how was your week?
Good. Final Fantasy 16 as well. Been playing that pretty much. I just want to get it done with, mainly not because I'm trying to beat Alex, but because I got Bomb Rush sitting there asking for me to finish it, and then we got Starfield coming right up, which I'm going to be super all about. Finally, you told me about
Yep.
it's a sci-fi version of like Oblivion and shit like that. I'm like, I'm down. And then we got Mortal Kombat 1 at the end of next month. And there's going to be a little decent sized story. Usually that's going to be about a 10 to 15 hour story. But then I'm also going to be into the multiplayer for a good. I usually stick around for that for about a month or two. And then
That'll be another one I watch you guys play.
yeah, that'll be a fun one. Like hopefully Christian will get it. Like we'll see. I'm going to play it for a little bit, and I'll tell Christian. I'm like, if it's bad, it's bad. But if it's good, he'll jump in with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, 16 is good. I don't want to spoil anything, but I did get to one scene, and the way I felt about the way this game plays is there's a reason why I'm finishing this one faster than most. Outside of just my personal life and how I've kind of advanced through that as far as like this year and being able to focus more on video games, but the way they changed it, I mean, I love the turn-based kind of style that they had with over previous Final Fantasy games. I love that. I'm still super excited to go into, I think it's 12.
12.
I'm super excited to go into that one. Not anytime soon, but do want to get into that one. But I just love the way this combat is more in this one. And like the way they evolve it throughout the game. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still pressing the same 2 or 3 buttons, but like, you get so much more to do every single like giant chunk, every single giant boss or level. Like you have that. Like I made the joke, this is a Mega Man game. It's kind of a fucking Mega Man game. Like once you get through with this, like you beat the boss, you get the boss's powers. That's a little bit of spoiler, but yeah, like things of shit like that happens. Where it's like, oh, it's pretty good. I like this style of gameplay. And then like my thumbs get a little sore, and a little tired. I'm like, oh, this is starting to hurt pretty much. And then you get like 45 minutes of fucking dialogue and fetch quests. Like, okay, this is letting me relax and calm down a little bit. But yeah, I love it. And I would say that I was having, not the last battle I had, but the previous one before that. This game and this type of gameplay would make for a great Power Ranger game. Think of Clive as a Power Ranger, the suit, swinging around their sword or whatever weapon they got. And then when you get the big climactic, like, oh, the boss has grown, he's this big, giant, towering kaiju thing, fucking let's go with Zords. And then we have the icon Zord battle type of deal. And then sure shit, as I'm thinking that, fucking something happens to where... I don't want to spoil anything for it, but...
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about that on the side, but it's literally the end of Power Rangers the movie. Fucking happens in this boss battle. Like, it's what happens.
Yeah.
Which I think is awesome.
Also, speaking of that part, speaking of where you guys, that moment that you passed, I told Preston this last night, Alex, but I'm very happy that both of you were able to make it through that sequence without your PS5s exploding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
would be nice if
I
it's
think all the videos I saw of people's PS5s exploding were typically people that had it modded with like lights and stuff. But I will say there was one part in that fight where Mega Flare is about to go off and wings are out and he's floating, and the whole scene he clipped, he stopped, he goes, for like 1 second, and I went, "Uh-oh, what happens?"
Almost.
And then he caught up, and it kept going for 1 second.
Really? So
And I don't mean, and I'm not saying like a split second. I'm meaning like 1/1000. Like 1 second,
Yeah, you're
everything
watching-
clipped and froze.
Okay.
And then it kept
just
going.
enough for you to tighten up a little bit. You're like, oh god. And
Yeah.
then- so somebody actually.
I told Allie about it too. I was like, because I just thought it was funny. I was like, Christian was talking about it, and I've read articles, and like 1 second it did.
So there's some people, like you were saying, that have like mod, but there's some people who just had a regular PS5 and it just melted. And it was somebody. The video that I saw was right after that part. He's like, I noticed that my PS5 shut down. He's like, so I went to go pull the controller out, and the cable just sort of melted in my hand, like it was just like gooped as he pulled it out because that's how hot it got. And I was like, "Eesh, that is tough. That sucks."
There are parts of this game that like I actually appreciate some of the items they gave you, especially in the early game, of like the perfect dodge medallion and stuff, because there are times in this game where with all of my iconic abilities going off, because I currently use Mega Flare and I have a couple of like Rama things, so lightning's going off and then I have flames at the same time. If I unleash my like demonic power, I cannot see what the enemy is about to do.
Nope.
Even if it's a small enemy.
Nope.
Like I'm gonna get
I angle my
I
camera so
can't
that way
tap-
all of my effects are off to the side, so I can see the guy right here a little bit still. I have to do that.
I'll have to
sometimes.
look up. I'll have to look down, because if I don't look down, same thing. Like I can't see it. It's just no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's funny. I will say this too. Sorry, Preston, not to cut you off,
you're
but
fine.
Christian and I, Christian was reprimanding me for my comment about it feeling like Final Fantasy X, and I know why I felt this way now, because I got to an area today. This
There's
game
water.
feels like Final Fantasy X does in my mind's eye.
Okay, fair.
Like-
all right.
Like Waloed felt just like in my brain how running through the desert in the Abed area should look and feel, right? From like what I
Oh,
remember. And then
okay.
like, yeah, so like it's what you remember how the game plays, not like how it actually looks. But then like when you get to Ash, it feels very much like the lightning planes and stuff. And it just made me feel like, man, if this team could
Again,
You want a remake? Yeah.
10.
Now you want a remake. Yeah.
Oh,
They can't even finish the
so
7
good.
remake. They're not gonna get 10.
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
So here's the thing. I think that's two different teams, but yes, but I still think my comment still stands, which is I understand you saying that that's how like it reminds you of how you felt about, but I still am like, we played two different games because I don't remember that game like that. Like that's what I'm saying is like this is not me being a 10 hater, but there is nothing in that game that looks like the lightning planes.
the first place you go into though, when you go in the crypt, absolutely felt like some of the trials.
It does
Yes, 100%. You're taking elevators different ways. I know you don't have the little
You're
orb.
taking elevators.
You don't.
Every
you
game,
don't have the orb.
every Final Fantasy game
no,
has
no,
elevators.
No. The music is very similar. The whole like
not.
architecture is very similar.
And when you were
you're
like,
taking
it's-
elevators to different paths to unlock
And the
just the
best
main
part
door.
about this story is when
felt
you were-
and you know it too, because you're like, when I was like on the edge of kind of describing it. You're like, yeah, no. It doesn't have the stupid orbs, but you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, because you say Cloister Trials, and so of course I know what the Cloister Trials are because it's a game that I've played. That doesn't mean that it's you being like it has elevators that go into this ancient thing. That happens in every Final Fantasy game. That's not special. That happens in 9, 10, 12.
Hey, man, homage.
No.
Can be an
Because if
homage.
anything, that means it's an homage to 9 because it happened first there.
There's
It
no
hap-
way to prove that.
Well, I know that the only way to prove it is that the number is smaller, so it means it came first. But that's fine.
Nobody knows. Nobody at Final Fantasy will ever admit if it was
Yeah.
from 9 or 10. Sure.
Yeah.
I will say they like 10 better.
I think you do that. You like it better.
Something that you would like.
I
better.
think all of Reddit likes it better.
Look,
every year.
It doesn't
I
really
will show
matter.
you every-
I don't think that Reddit is the site you want to have on your side anyway. But also, it won't matter because it seems like if the leaks are to be believed, 9 is getting a remake before 10 does.
That's what they say, which would be interesting and exciting, but
Fuck it.
man,
We're gonna go right
a
on the
lot of
9.
potential. A lot of potential for letdown.
No, it'll be bad, but I'm just saying that it's clear
It'll be bad.
that it's clear that one is
To be
more
fair,
favorable
the
than
reason
other.
to be fair, the reason they've never talked about a 10 remake is because they're only talking about a 10-3 sequel, which has
They're
been
not- they're not talking
apparently
about
in
that.
production for a while.
No, it hasn't.
That has
No,
been.
it has not been in production.
We have talked about. I didn't say production. I said rumored in production for a while.
Okay, but it has not. It is not. That's not real. No, they're not
Never
doing
know.
a 10-3 sequel.
Never know.
Stop
You never
it.
know. It's already story's already written.
Yeah, it was a radio drama. And if you want a game walking around with Titus begging to be murdered again over and over again, then be my guest. But I don't think that game plays as well as you think it does in your head.
If it looked like this, if it was done by this team, it would be amazing.
Most games would.
This team has all the faith in the world for whatever project they want to work
Yeah.
on. Because
Well,
should-
this
you
team
should
is
do a
going
Power
back to
Ranger
working.
game.
This team is going back to working on Dawn Trail immediately. So there's nothing. Yeah.
More Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
10 years old. Yeah, other than that, Baldur's Gate 3, like we mentioned. I was playing some Snap as per usual. We're back on the stream for the snapping. We got ourselves X23 this past week, so our Spotlight cache has been good. This new week is Silver Samurai. I did my Spotlight cache, did not get him. I did get the little variate, like kind of thing you get on the side, but I got a new card with it, so I'm happy. Did not get a baby variant or any bullshit. So, presents.
so you were really only angry for like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they seem to have fixed
Yeah.
everything.
Well, I was
for you.
threatening
That
to
was
stop playing the game that week, but yeah.
Yeah,
no, I'm
but
fine
that was
with
just an argument that you had with your girlfriend. There's plenty of time you say you did. You said something you didn't mean, and you weren't actually ever going to do anything about it.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, it's gonna take a lot to separate us. I know,
Yeah.
it's good. I've been playing a lot of it. Working my Silver Surfer deck. It's been a lot of fun. I've so many people just quit on me like very beginning. I got someone to quit first turn Snap. I'm like, fuck it, snapping, got a good card. He's like, snap. He's like, fuck you then, I'm out. I'm like, you didn't even try. Like, at least let me two cubes. Like, it's fine.
Fake out's too scary, man.
Fucking cowards out here. I'm telling you.
What
You should
rank are
get
you?
you should get automatic 8 cubes if you get somebody to quit the first round.
First round, yeah,
You should.
Yeah.
First
Just drops out,
first
yeah.
try.
You gotta
Yeah.
at least go through like the first, 86 I'm at now. So we still have about a week and a half to 2 weeks, which it's still good, still good. Like, wait, I'm getting stuck around the 85, but I'm doing pretty good. I'm getting some 8 cubers here and there. So as long as I'm still getting those here and there and not fucking around and losing 48 cubes, I'll be okay. So Snap is fine. It was good on Sundays. Join me. Played the one for this week, and then also last game I played would be Whisker Squadron Survivor. I have played some more of that. That has come out. That is the run-based version of Whisker Squadron. The actual story-based version is going to be out next year. But this one is, I think they're charging $11 for like the first week
Yep.
or month, and then after that's gonna be like $14.99. But shout out to Travis from Nerds with Mics. Almost fucked it up. He gave me forget what other. It's another rail-based kind of shooter kind of game. So it was like Star Fox, but because I had that one, it was included in a bundle with Whisker Squadron, which made Whisker Squadron was even cheaper for me. So I got below $10. I'm like, oh, well, thank you, Travis. I may not
Dope.
play that game that you gave me, but I at least saved me some money on Whisker Squadron. But Whisker Squadron is great. As far as compared to the demo, there's a lot more they added to it. A lot more different types of weapons and upgrades you can get through there. I like the new little more level they put in there. Kind of reminds me a little more of Race to the Sun in that level. But having a ton of fun with it. I usually pick it up when people are hanging out in Discord and I'm kind of sitting on my computer and not knowing what to play. I'm like, if I could turn on Whisker Squadron for a little bit and have some fun. But it's good. Can't wait for that actual single player to come out. It'd be great. Other than that, last thing on my week is Ahsoka. Ahsoka episode 1, 2 came out. Praise be.
Is 3 out today or tomorrow?
3 is out tonight at 7, 8
That's what I
o'clock.
thought.
So I'm super stoked for it tonight. Sabine, perfect. Love my Sabine. And I love the fact that I think this might be the first time we actually have a licensed song in a Star Wars movie or show or anything Star
Oh
Wars.
yeah, when she's on the
Yeah, that is the Illuminati Hotties. Yeah, that I heard it. I'm like, damn, this fucking song rips. I'm like, there's no way someone just produced this song for this show. And then I remember listening to the radio, like, oh yeah, it was Illuminati Hotties. She was on the Ahsoka show. with her song on there when she's like racing down the street. I'm like, oh shit, okay, all right. But yeah, it's a very, very cool show. It's doing all the right things for me. I forget his last name, but R.I.P. Ray Stevenson, I think his name is. That gentleman passed away recently. So it's I've seen him there, but it's great. He's doing a fantastic job on that show.
Wait, which guy?
Like the white beard, white hair,
Okay.
has a lightsaber.
And not Ray Winston.
Not Ray Winston, the guy with the lightsaber, the master
Yeah.
of the two.
Interesting. I didn't know he passed.
He was like this year, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like the Ahsoka wasn't even out yet, and he passed. So it's a great show. It's doing wonders. All praise Filoni for everything he does. He's doing God's
so
work.
good.
He is the new Lucas, and I think he's doing a better job than what Lucas would have done. So it's just keep giving him the things to do and hiring people to do things for him. Just let him be Lucas. Just let him be Lucas. Just let him be Lucas. You don't need everybody else. You don't need Abrams in there. You don't need Ryan in there. You just stop it. They don't know how to do it. Filoni knows how to do it. And I was listening to something about Filoni. He was like talking like, hey, he's talking about the expanded universe and everything that happens. And this was before. No, this was after. He's like before the merger happened. It was considered that everything that was movies and TV was considered canon. Anything else was considered like a good idea. And then if we did anything with that, we could bring them into the TV shows and movies. But until then, it was always just considered non-canon. It was just something fun you could do with the universe. And he's like,
boo this man.
No,
Boo.
because he's like, because then we can. He's like, I can just find those cool things and bring them in. And then I think it was this past week, Lucasfilm or Star Wars or Disney, whoever the fuck puts this press releases out, gave us an actual timeline with all the eras in there. And right at the very end, it's New Jedi Order, which is going to be the next movies are going to be on as far as the next timeline. I love those books. I'm not going to expect them to do anything near those books because Ben Skywalker is the only solo kid. There's 3 solo kids in those fucking books. And everyone else is alive. And Luke Skywalker's really fucking cool and has a wife and a kid in those books. That's not going to happen because they're dead. But if they can bring the Yuuzhan Vong in, which are these alien races from outside who have like organic ships and like tear their limbs off and put other limbs on them, like all like masochists or whatever, like they're fucking very macabre. And they got like these like horrific dog ghost things that just can hunt down force sensitive people, and it's fucking crazy. And if they can pull some of that shit off, that'd be real cool.
How are you going to feel if everything that you just said is the same, except it's going to be Rey instead? Because that's the way they're leaning.
No, I don't mind that. I don't mind them
the
changing
name.
it. It's fine.
This is not the question that needs to be
kids.
asked. That doesn't matter. That's not the question that needs to be asked.
I'm okay. I like
The question
Rey.
is.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think Rey is okay. And she's fine.
She's okay. She's fine.
It doesn't matter. She's fine. The question
She's
that
not
needs to be
Skywalker.
asked is, where is KOTOR, you fucking cowards? Bring back Revan, you fucking cowards.
It could happen. It could happen at any time. You never know.
It's a good idea that maybe I'll pull. No, it's the best idea this franchise has ever fucking had.
You want to know what I hear is a really cool rumor that could be true? At the very end of one of the credits on one of the episodes of Ahsoka, there's someone who's credited in there. It's a little name called Sam Witwer, who you guys know
It has nothing to do
as-
with KOTOR.
No, but it has to do with Starkiller, who is cool outside of that second game he played, is a cool character. And there is a character in there who has a lightsaber, who is masked, who is... I forget what they call him in the show. It starts with the M, but it's very much like his last name of the actual real Starkiller's last name. It was like Merrick. So people are thinking that dude in the mask could be Starkiller, and it would be really cool to see Starkiller and Ahsoka, both of Vader's apprentices, go at each other. I think it'd be pretty fucking dope. And if Filoni does that, motherfucker, you
this
are
sounds
the
like
If
pure-
Ahsoka,
pure
if
copium.
Ahsoka goes back, if she goes back and they bring to live action the World Between Worlds, I mean anything's on the table.
Dude, this is Rebels
That's
season
like
4. They already told you.
that's-
They already
that's
told you,
time
yeah.
travel.
And we can.
Yeah.
They can always time travel and go
So-
back to get Revan. Who knows?
Yeah.
Could happen, Christian. It could happen.
They won't do it.
Could-
They're cowards.
Not Filoni. Filoni's not a coward.
No.
Disney is.
What'll happen? Yeah, what'll happen?
And they're
with
already
Revan
remaking
is they
KOTOR.
will. No, they will bring Revan back, but they'll bring Revan back in some of like the lamest way possible.
He'll be like a
it'll
cave
one-off
painting or some
villain.
shit. That's all it'll be.
That honestly, that'd probably be better. I figured he'll just be like some one-off random villain of the week in one of their like weekly shows, or like,
and they'll be like,
Mandalorian or
and then
something.
you'll cut,
Like
they'll
in
kill
Ron
him, and they'll be
Plays.
like, oh, it's not actually Revan, but it was a copycat killer or whatever, and you're just like,
Some
so
bullshit
it's
like
somebody
that,
who found his armor or something like that, but you know he used to be a really cool guy, and I'll be like, fuck you.
Because in Book of Boba Fett, Preston, I'm sure you'll remember. I don't remember the guy's name, but the pirate, the blue guy with the red eyes, who was all over Clone Wars
Cad
and stuff.
Bane.
Like Cad Bane. Cad Bane is an awesome like anti-hero because he's had good episodes and bad episodes, and they
Just
brought him in for like
deleted.
one episode of the week.
Deleted
5 minutes. There's like,
immediately. To be fair, he was
Hey,
going
you
up
all-
against
you
some
all
badasses.
know this one.
So-
you all know this one. You like him, right? Well, like him for the next 4 minutes.
We don't want
and
to put
never
somebody in this
see him
prosthetic
again.
every single time, so we're going to use him once, and we're just going to put that to bed. I'm like, okay, well, at least we got that. At least we got that.
No, that's not. I don't have to be like. At least we got that.
We didn't
I
need
want
Cad Bane at
KOTOR.
all. He could have just stayed in the fucking thing. We'll
They
you'll
don't
get
even
your
need to do
KOTOR.
anything.
Just give it a
They just need
time.
to be like, hey, it's canon. That's it. That's all I want you to
If
say.
they make a new game, they're going to make it canon.
They're not making it. They're remaking the original.
It could be considered canon then. The Old Republic
It
is
does
still a
beg-
game.
Yeah. Well, if they weren't fucking cowards, that's what they would do.
Old Republic is still a game.
It does beg the question: if they redo it, what will they consider it? Will they just say like, "Hey, this is Legends. It always will be Legends. We're just remaking it for you," or will they say like, "Now that it's remade," and
That's what
coming
they're
back
gonna
out,
say.
like,
They're gonna
we're
be like,
officially
it's
bringing it
Legends.
back"?
It's always be Legends, and we're just remaking it for you, so you guys will shut the fuck up.
I hope not. I hope otherwise. But time will tell.
And then Preston will come back and go, well, at least we got that.
They said his name. Are you happy
Yeah.
now, Christian? Yeah, other than that,
Hey, good guy, Preston. He's
Undefeated.
always there.
Gotta have hope.
Undefeated.
Gotta have hope.
With Nintendo and Star Wars, undefeated.
Gotta have hope. It can happen. Yeah, other than that, that's my week. That's all I got for you.
Let's do it then.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, let's do it. Let's hop into our newest episode of our gaming book club. I'm going to pull up my notes here as we dove into Beyond Good and Evil. Hey,
HD.
Bash, I could appreciate you if you stopped licking me. Thank you, sir. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but he's just been licking me for like the last 20
No,
minutes.
but I did
My
hear it
arm
last episode. I'm sitting here.
my arm is very wet. He does not stop. That's what happens when you have an anxiety pup. So Beyond Good and Evil. So I was looking for a game to play. Where this came about, I was looking for a game to play. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do for this game book club. And I was like, you know what? I've looked at like different consoles and older consoles to see how games have held up. And then I go, instead of doing that, let's actually see what's 20 years old this year. And this game is 20 years old this year. It came out in 2003, produced by Ubisoft. It was on PlayStation 2 and Xbox,
And
PC,
GameCube.
and GameCube, actually. Yeah. Side note, somebody was talking about they have the OG Wii. My wife was telling me she was at a friend's house the other night and some guy there had an OG Wii. And he's like, oh, I had to replace the CD-ROM drive and had to get a special screwdriver from
Why?
Nintendo because they use special parts and it cost more than buying a new Wii or whatever. And I was like, I would have just returned and got a GameCube. Like, just go buy like a cheap, it's
Well,
a better console.
the
Those
reason-
different games. Yeah.
The reason that people keep their Wii around is because it's fully backwards compatible with the GameCube.
Still,
So you can
I
put the
would've
game. You can put the GameCube. I agree with you. I have a GameCube and I do not have a Wii. I'm just saying. Well, no, I do have a Wii that I definitely use for Star Wars: Force Unleashed. But anyway,
Yes.
yeah. But when that breaks, I will not replace it, and I will just keep my GameCube.
So this game is 20 years old, produced by Ubisoft. I think it'll be interesting to talk about at the end. We're not going to dive into it today, but like the difference in this studio then and now and how they were viewed. But a little bit of backstory on this game. So it was created by Michael Ancel, who also created Rayman. And if you look at his like game library, he has created this game. And he's been on like every freaking Rayman that's ever existed until like a year ago or two. And there was one other video game that he did that was not this or Rayman, and it was King Kong, the movie adaptation video game. And I guess what
Peter
happened
Jackson
was
one?
Peter Jackson,
Yeah.
he loved Beyond Good and Evil, and he was pissed at EA and the way they handled some of the other Lord of the Rings properties that he reached out and had this guy make this game, or the King Kong version. Now, it was produced by Yves Guillemot. We all know Yves. If we want to go all the way back to like our first episode, we talked about that. But I don't want to make it sound like, and here's the problem with the world today, I don't want to make it sound like we stand everything this guy does, because this guy, he stepped away from Ubisoft about 10 years ago, and then he created his indie studio folded, and then he stepped away from gaming completely in 2020 to go spend more time at his animal sanctuary. But 1 week after he stepped away from the gaming industry, it came out that he was one of the primary focuses of the investigation around the toxic workplace.
Well, I am shocked.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So, so he has this game to his name. Interesting thing about this game, so it was a critical hit, but not initially. So it was shown at E3 2002. People actually didn't really like it. They took some of the feedback, came back, relaunched 2003. Huge critical hit, huge cult following.
Massive
commercial
cult.
flop.
Yeah.
Commercial flop, didn't make hardly any money. So with that, let's dive into it with our first part here. And when we jump right in, we follow our main character named Jade. Pretty iconic. The chick wearing all green with green lipstick.
Yeah.
So
So
my first note in seeing her is I think it's hilarious how much better her model is than everybody else around her.
Everyone else has like some of those polygon edges and everything, and she like looks great.
Paige is the closest one that is like
Yeah. Little pig
you
friend.
can tell is like like it got a little bit of attention, but hers is like miles better than anything else around her.
Some of the insects, and we'll talk about the bugs in a minute. Some of the bugs actually just remind me, or like could have been ripped straight from like Ocarina of Time. And you're talking like Nintendo 64 to like PlayStation 2, right? And like
I was
that's how
thinking
bad.
Jack and Daxter is looking a lot like Jack and Daxter.
Yeah.
Jack and Daxter looks way better than this
Well,
game.
I'm
but
saying like
that's-
the first one, like the character designs and like the way they kind of look as far as like
Sure.
their faces and their bodies. That is kind of the era of
Yeah.
To be fair, I guess, and I don't know how fair this is being, especially considering what we've seen in the last couple of years of indie games, but this was made by a team of 30 people. So Ubisoft did not put the full like force of their publishing capabilities behind this game. They were just like, hey,
You're telling me that
you and-
Ubisoft made a bad decision somewhere down the line of making a game?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the
I
game
don't
whose
believe
sequel
you.
was using Hit Record Joe's fucking website to get other people to do the job for them. Wasn't using a whole lot of effort and work towards the first one.
Wait a second. So we can talk about Beyond Good and Evil 2, announced in 2008. Hit Record Joe was Joseph Gordon-Levitt's website.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
The collab website
Where
for
he-
artists and
collab
come
website,
together and
Wait.
share art and things.
Share
Wait,
art.
so you said the announcement? What was
So
used?
it was
It's,
what
E3.
they so it was the E3. They brought
Right.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt out there during the sort of relaunch, rebranding that they did for Beyond Good and Evil 2, and they were
So
like,
I remember this launch trailer.
and then so this
Beyond
is
Good and Evil
this
2.
is past that. So this is just a
like
little bit
one
after
after
that.
that, yeah.
So
Okay.
they bring his ass out there, and he's like, "Hey guys, I'm so happy to announce that we know that you want this game just as badly as we do. And we know that you are just as invested in this as we are. So what we're doing is opening up the ability for you to just work on the game.
Be a
So
part of the
just
game.
Be
Get
a
your
part
name
of
in
the
the
game.
credits.
Get your name in the. You can do it, and guess what? Based on this, if it gets used on these other things, you'll get paid pennies, or sometimes not. But don't worry, you'll be in the. You'll have a hand in
Yeah.
Good and Evil too. Yeah, and did it, and boy, did no one give a fuck.
So I do remember that launch trailer, and I went back and watched it the other day,
It's good.
just to see. It looks good. You know the craziest thing? It's from 2000. That's 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That video came out. Like
That game's not coming out.
So when it's funny because when we were talking about when we were talking about
And they
doing this
refused
game,
to cancel it.
Yeah.
yeah. So when we were talking about this game, I was like, I wonder what the news is on Beyond Good and Evil 2, because I know it was like it's just nobody's heard of it. I was like, when did we see that last? Probably 7-8 years ago. No, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is insane. And yes, to your point, Christian, they refused to cancel it because Michael Ansel, or whatever his name is, when he left in 2020, he assured everybody that Rayman and Beyond Good and Evil 2 are in good hands with their respective teams at Ubisoft.
Yeah.
I mean, Rayman's coming to the Mario and Rabbids game in DLC soon, so I guess he's going to a good game.
Honestly,
People like those
just
games.
go bankrupt and then donate all of your stuff to NoClip so they can like release
Yes.
like docs on it. Yeah.
Yes.
I would love for NoClip to have full access to both Ubisoft
Everything.
as well as like the last few people at Blizzard. Like I think both of those would be incredible NoClip documentaries. Anyway, we digress.
Yes.
So
Anyways, back
we
to the game.
meet Jade, and you're right. She does look better than everybody else, and your main characters all look better than some of the enemies that just look like some lazy ass polygons just floating around. Like they did not put a lot of work into it. But so Jade is an investigative reporter, as well as martial artist and spy. That's according to her Wikipedia entry. Don't know why she's all of those things, but essentially the game opens up on a planet called Hillis. It's like a mining planet, and it's the year 2435, and right out of the gate, like with, I guess I don't remember how quickly old games just like started, but man, like Jade is just meditating on a hillside, and out of the gate, a portal in the sky opens up, and like alien invasion, like no context. And there's nothing really being like, Hillis 2435. Like, for all you know as a viewer, this could be like alternate Earth. And all of a sudden, aliens pop out of nowhere and start attacking. So, they're invaded by aliens called Dom Z, and essentially they just start snatching everybody up and about. And Jade essentially has to, like, stop herself from getting snatched and the people around her from getting snatched, which lead you into the tutorial where you fight with the incredibly complex combat.
But also before that, she tries to put the shield on and to like stop her house from getting blown up. And really cool power company is like, you were late on your bill, so have fun dying, you fucking broke bitch. And then they just
Hey, you think
like,
an orphanage would be funded by the city to help save the children? But no.
No, doesn't matter. But I love the combat. Like, you literally just hit X or hold X. That's it.
Yeah.
Or I guess in your purpose square, right? If you're playing on PlayStation,
Can you
there.
press the Y button
But, like-
for Piggy to do the bounce thing?
Yeah, but you don't even have him yet.
Get that in the beginning.
You don't even have him
Not
yet.
in the
Like right
beginning.
now, like in the beginning it's just you. So it's just like X. And I think the fighting is where this game shows its age. Like the first place out of the gate is
My
where it shows
next
its age.
note. My next note for this is,
Yeah.
I think the music is incredible.
Yes.
And the model thing that I noted, but I will go further. I will say all of the from movement to combat, this game feels incredibly clunky. Like I was surprised at how clunky it feels.
So hold that then. So here's what I'll say. So the Dom Z come in, they invade. You have to stop people from getting abducted. You yourself help fight. Something happens where like a hole in the ground opens up and you jump down to encounter your first tutorial boss. It's just like the very first little mini boss, tutorial boss. And after you defeat them, the Alpha section, who we're introduced to, come in and kind of help clear the scene.
Space
And the
cops.
Alpha sections, they're space cops. They're like a military dictatorship over this planet.
They're RoboCops.
And they've taken control under the guise of like, hey, we're going to help keep you protected from things that could potentially be there. So
After
this is what
they've shown up.
yeah, so this is the intro, and this is where I have a pause. So like right out of the gate, and Christian, you kind of talked about it. How are you feeling in the first 5 minutes because I think there's a lot to feel in
Yeah.
the first
So
5
one,
minutes. So.
I stun locked that boss by standing in a corner. So if you go all the way to the right corner, it just can't hit you, and you can just sit and just mash the attack button over and over again, and then it just dies. Which I thought was really funny. But yeah, so the game.
How did you find that?
I just happened to go over there. It was just like I just got over
would.
there, and then as
You
I was
would.
swinging, I could see him like swiping, but he could never hit me, and I was like, okay. And so I just mashed the button. I was like, it'll stop me if I can't do this, and then I just kept doing it, and then I fucking 3-cycled the boss, and it was over, and I was like, okay, see ya, and then I got right out. But yeah, I think that's the music is for me. The music I thought was like incredible. It's really, really good. Like the score that they've done so far is great. Even despite the crazy audio bugs that I have on the PS3 version, where it just like clips and drops completely sometimes, which is like weird. But so that's good. Her like Jade herself still holds up. I'm not gonna say the other models in the game hold up because I don't think they do. But Jade still looks good for the time. Like I'm like, this makes sense. It's fine. And there's other certain things too. Like I think the water effects look at like when you're in the hovercraft and stuff. Like I think that looks good. But man, that movement and combat are so incredibly clunky. I was like, I just wasn't expecting it, especially in a game that came out in the time that it did. Like there's other games that are like this, like a sort of 3D adventure. Not this game's not really a platformer, but you know what I mean. Like that kind of adventure game. There's examples out there that are around this time that are much smoother, but that one's a little rough for sure.
Preston, what about you?
I had a good start to it, honestly. You start up when you start the Xbox, it starts like the Xbox 360 emulation that they use. So it shows you logging into the Xbox 360 with the little like, boop, you Funkadelic logged in, and then it finally pops into the main screen. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, there's something about this. Like it's you see the Beyond Good and Evil, like the little swirly, like I guess like a galaxy or whatever that's supposed to be there. I'm like the color there is just like giving me some type of vibes. I'm like, you know what? This reminds me a lot of Eternal Darkness and that color it has in that background. I'm like, when did Eternal Darkness came out? Eternal Darkness came out about a year or two beforehand. I'm like, that checks out. For some reason, that color and that era just meld together and just you kind of get the little nostalgia and the kind of the like, well, a little familiar. Get into it. I thought it opened up just fine. I mean, obviously your basic tutorial at the very beginning. And then outside of that, we kind of go on from there. I mean, there's not really much else to say that else than you guys did, other than I am not as down on it so far as you guys have been. It just seemed like I put myself in the shoes of that era. I'm like, it seems like an average game that would come out that time. The camera angles are fucking buggy as hell, to where like you can't get it always where you need to, and then sometimes you'll go turn to a corner and all of a sudden it'll zoom, get you a different camera angle. I'm like, I don't need this camera angle right now because not even 2 seconds later, it's gonna switch to the outdoor camera anyways.
That's my thing. Is I think that this game doesn't hold up as well as its like games that were around it. That's what I'm saying. Like the clunkiness, I feel like doesn't. I'm like, I was expecting it to be a little bit smoother. Where when I started playing, I was like, oh damn. Okay.
I was hoping it to live up to like the best of that era, but now it's just kind of mitting for me. It's like, oh, this is like the average adventure game in this era. Like maybe the story gets a little bit better, and that's why everyone is all like up in arms over this game and this stuff, because it's got a little bit of charm to it, but like it hasn't really grabbed me just yet.
To me, I know
fine.
From what I understand, it's definitely the story. The story, is
unless the fan base
it.
is mostly a bunch of furries, because like a bunch of anthropomorphic people running around, and you're talking about lazy character development. They put walruses in there for a reason, because that's just one basic little egg shape they had to put in there, and they didn't have to do anything with limbs or necks or nothing.
Also,
it's shape.
I will say the last note I have in this spot is because, and I'm only doing this because of Alex during his when we were doing Metro, where he was like a little bit of immersion break where everybody would be dead in this because of dirty blah blah blah. This game would be over in 2 seconds, because when the Alpha Sector leave, they're in their rocket and it shows fire engulfing this entire island where Jade and everybody was standing. Everybody was incinerated in that moment, and the credits should have ran right there.
Yeah, that's fair. So when I wouldn't say I'm down on it yet because, again, Preston, to your point, like, I've never beat this game, and I know it's older, and it is a cult hit. Like, people love it. There's a lot of places, and this is what I'm really interested to see when we get to the end. A lot of places say it's hailed as one of the greatest games of all time, and that is a lofty statement, and I've seen that a lot of places. So I'm going this with a very skeptical eye.
My first impression of the game is the reviews and the raves about it. Like, it's not the actual game, and I'm playing the actual game.
Right, I'm playing the actual game, and like it to Christian, your point, it shows its age in a lot of places. Like, it doesn't necessarily hold up as well as some of the other games. Like, even take older ones. One that I mentioned earlier, like Ocarina of Time. To me, that game, with even more polygon edges, with even less of a story and like messed up cutscenes and camera angles, like, it actually just holds up to today. And this game that came out on newer consoles, like, doesn't hold up in the same way. Even from I guess there could be the nostalgia factor for some, but just not too greatest game ever. So who knows where it's going to go, though?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yep, who knows where it's going to go? It's too early for that. So I'm interested to see where. But like, there's some things that show its age. So it picks up, and we're in our house, which is an orphanage. And this is where we start to learn a little bit more about Jade. So Jade is a photojournalist, and essentially we're talking to the Hillis science.
Also, I love that these people are called Hillians.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, right on. Just
Yeah.
awfully close to another Hylian, Hillian. We're real close. Okay.
That's fine. Nobody will notice. Maybe it translates different in French. But we're immediately introduced to like this main mechanic that we're going to experience throughout the game in our orphanage, which is
Pokemon Snap.
As a photojournalist, yeah, it's Pokemon Snap. We are helping the science department preserve these creatures. So if something happens to the planet, if this alien invasion and these disappearances keep happening, we can preserve this history of these creatures by taking photos of it and submitting. And essentially, you can take up to 8 pictures, which we're tasked to do right off the bat in our orphanage. 8 pictures.
To get some more dinero.
Yeah, of fauna, right? So we're not plants, but like bugs and people and creatures. 8 pictures, and then when we complete the roll, we submit it, and we get a pearl. And we don't really know what these pearls are for yet. They're going to be some sort of currency, but we get a pearl.
The first one you get is advanced zoom.
That's true. You do get.
So I think later on you might get other things than just pearls, possibly. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get anything else for your camera. That advanced zoom is the only thing you get. Just FYI.
Fair enough.
So there's enjoy your advanced zoom,
which I do.
They give to you so you can take a picture of this thing running around on the. When you get to the top of the orphanage, you have a lighthouse, and there's one creature you can't take a picture of, and when you submit the 8 photos, you get the advanced zoom, so you can take a picture of that thing. Like, just give us the zoom. We don't. What does it matter? Like, there's so many things to take pictures of.
My problem with the thing is in the Black Isles, which we'll get there, but like my thing with the camera is like anytime I see a new enemy, I'm like, oh, I gotta take a picture of this thing while it's charging at me, about to hit me, and I'm like, I hate this is.
So, well, yeah, we'll talk about that. Let me ask: did anybody follow a guide? Preston, you followed a guide, didn't you?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So
I haven't gotten stuck yet. When I get stuck, that's when I'll revert to the guides.
Well,
I have
Alex
a guide.
Is following a guide. Shocker.
Yeah,
shocker. No, I'm just kidding.
Not for the story, for all the side stuff. Just because, like, since it is my game, I want to make sure that we're gonna kind of. I'm gonna be able to hit everything and not miss anything, just to make sure everything is important. So, I haven't used it for the main stuff, but after I did the main areas, the world opens up, and you can take. Again, we'll talk about this in a minute. You can take a lot of photos and other stuff. So yes, I am following a guide for a lot of this. But we're tasked to take some pictures. We learn what this loop is going to be for a major part of it, along with the story. And so we start exploring as we take our photos, and we move on from the orphanage. We go into a hangar, if you will, a dock. And it's where we really get a chance to interact with a character who we saw briefly but haven't really talked to too much, Paige, which is like
Piggy Boy.
What? Yeah, P-E-Y-J.
P-E-Y-J.
Well, yeah, they could have just come up with something better for Pig. honestly, because
They
he's just
call
a big
them
man.
hillions because there's hills, man. Like you're not going to get a whole lot of super hard
right.
thinking in these games, all right?
So anyway, that's a good point. So he's in the dock inn. You have a hovercraft that is broken, and this is where you kind of like move around the workshop, and you're introduced to a couple of other little things before you fix the hovercraft. And once you fix the hovercraft, you go out and you're introduced to your quote unquote
Well,
open
and before
world.
that, the whole reason that you're fixing it is because you got a mission disc. And it's
Well, so that's what I was gonna say here. So like we get to the open world, but that little area is used to introduce a couple other interesting mechanics that I have notes for. Which there were some things I like they do this interesting thing to mix futuristic technology and current stuff in this world. So Christian, to your point, you get a DVD or a CD-ROM for all
call
intents
an
and
M
purposes.
disc.
And it's an M disc, and it's just a circular CD-ROM, and they use them in cool ways. So like the first one you pop it in a little disc reader, and that's how you save your games. You're actually saving your game to the data on the disc, which is clever, generally, except it also makes you just sometimes look at games you play today and go like, thank you for the fact I can just save whenever I want.
Checkpoints too. Thank you.
Yeah, because when Preston was like, how far do I need to go to turn off this game? That was me today when I was like, I have other stuff to do. First thing this morning, I was like, I got to go do this stuff. Why? I just need to save, and I need to know where I can save so I can turn this off and stop at the stopping point, right? So it's a clever use in that instance, but also like, more age. Mm-hmm. Throughout the game, they use those in other cool ways too, where like they're just kind of your lore dumps. So where you would collect pages and other stuff, you collect these M discs, and they give you lore dumps throughout. So as soon as we get in our hovercraft, we go out in the open world, which is almost more of a hub world, right? So like you have the open water, and you can travel between a couple of main points. As I said, this game's broken up in like 5 areas. You have the beginning, which is like the main Hillis area. You have the factory, you have the Black Isles, and a few others. But at the center of it is just water, and you're going to take the hovercraft between it, and there's stuff there. As soon as you get out of the water, your hovercraft breaks down because Paige is a crappy mechanic.
True.
And you are picked up by a mechanic who takes you to a shop while giving the most questionable Jamaican accent.
So my first note is let me get the exact name for the shop here. The Mama Go Garage is, so I put the Mama Go Garage has got to be racist. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's one of those things when you hear him talking and other stuff, it's like, I don't know that it's racist, but it definitely sounds like it should be.
Yes.
One of the rhinoceros just has like the whole hat and hair thing going on. I'm like, is that like one of the touristy hats and hairs, or are you just trying to tell me that this rhinoceros just is getting dreads on you all of a sudden?
And
Okay.
I could again, and what you were saying is, I totally agree with you. I could be wrong, but it definitely sounds like somebody not of Jamaican descent doing a Jamaican accent. That's what it sounds like.
Not even.
I think you
try.
can safely say. I think you can.
And
Safely say.
if they are Jamaican voice actors, then I think there's a non-zero chance that whoever that voice director was looked at them and said, "Make sure you really ham it up in there."
Yeah, we need to make this Hollywood Jamaica, not real world Jamaica. Okay, the white people don't understand. That's going to be kind of.
Well, no, so you got to scream that in a French accent, Preston, because it was French people that were doing that.
You got to do the Jamaican accent. Come on.
Yeah.
You got to do it how we like it. We don't hear you Jamaican accent like that. We don't from Jamaica. We are from France.
All I'm gonna
Just like
say
Just like
is
that.
if you IMDb it, everyone in this cast is mostly white. Is mostly white.
Jade passed away in
minus
2017. I
Jade.
saw.
Minus Jade, everyone else looks
Pretty
very
sure
pale and French.
Jade was pretty white when I looked up her voice actress today.
Well, you know, there's white people in Jamaica. There's white people born there.
There's plenty of mixed people out there. Yeah, sure.
There's a
That's
couple.
fair. They all have French names though. I'm gonna say it's
Well,
Let's say
that
she's
doesn't.
French.
Well, the French did colonize it for a little while, so maybe.
so it's okay.
No, I'm just saying that it could be a dual citizenship thing. Like maybe somebody's over there. Maybe.
Let's go with that. Based on the
Sure.
lawsuits of the director, I'm going to say probably not. But
Probably
let's go
not.
with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is when we kind of figure out what our currency is going to be for, right? So our pearls that we're collecting, and there's a ton of pearls you can collect in the main menu. There's like 62 or something. I'm not quite sure the exact number. It's in the 60s.
Too many.
Too many. It's a lot. And essentially, you realize that you are going to use all of these pearls to enhance your hovercraft.
You go to the back of the
better
shop,
guns,
and you see the
better speeds.
upgrades.
Yeah. So the next note I had, was that when you go into that shop and they're just like, "Hey, use that pearl that you got to buy new motors," since Paige is a trash mechanic. And then it basically goes like, by the way, here's the shopping mall of all the extra shit that you can get. And you're like, and I love is when you go to the back, it's like space jets, and you're like,
Guess we're going to space.
I guess we're going to space. Like, we'll just turn this hovercraft into a space shuttle. No,
that gets
big
confirmed
deal.
later on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'll pause here. I actually had like a pause later to see where we're at, but I'll stop here for a moment, and we can just kind of talk about this. Like, I feel like this game doesn't quite have an identity yet when it comes to the stuff it's asking
I
you to do.
agree.
So
Too much stuff thrown
I'm
at you
taking
right now.
Yeah, so like I'm taking pictures as a photojournalist, but what I get in return are pearls to upgrade my hovercraft. So like, am I
My
a
exploration
photojournalist that's out
device.
here taking pictures, or am I over here upgrading my hovercraft for like what purpose, right?
Well,
like,
I think that part makes sense to me. Like, that's not the part that my identity crisis comes from. It doesn't understand it doesn't know what kind of game it wants to be. So like, that part didn't bother. Like, I get that because most of the world is covered in water, and so like people use hovercrafts, or in other cases like just straight up like jet cars to get around, right? So like, she's a investigative journalist, and the way they get around to go from news story to news story is a hovercraft, right? So like, I don't.
But before you say what the part you have an issue with, like just on this part, right? Because I agree. I also have notes on what you're about to say too. What I mean is like, throwing this stuff again just shows his age and is just like bloat. Like, we have a skinny game here. There's not a lot of meat to it, right? And like, we have this loop of you taking pictures, but it's hard to tell, were the pictures always the intent, or were they an afterthought to add something to the story? And same with these pearls and upgrading your hovercraft. Like, they could have given you a hovercraft out the gate without needing the mods and upgrades and done it through story. Like, it feels almost like an afterthought of like, we need more to do, so you take pictures, but we need a payoff to have you do this, so we'll upgrade that. So it just feels like an add-on to this like very skinny game.
It feels very wide but shallow, right? Like a super wide puddle that is like a couple inches deep. Like, it's not.
Yep.
It feels like they're trying to hit like those like Donkey Kong or Mario of that era, to where it's like, collect the things, go to the place that has the number of those things that you collect on each door or each thing, and that's how you know you progress. So you're going to see you're going to do 5, 10, 25, 50, and that's the how you're going to progress.
And don't worry,
That's
it
how
won't
games
just be
do it.
just photos, because we've got a combat system in here that you'll be able to fight things and
So you're not
explore and
gonna
do
get
puzzles.
You can't get mad at us for not having action in here.
Yeah.
You're just fucking
Yeah.
taking pictures the whole game. I wouldn't care. I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Pokemon Snap is a good game.
So Christian, what were you saying about? Because I also have that
Well,
same
so-
thing.
so-
Like, is it an action game? Is it a puzzle game? Like, I have that note of a question
Yeah,
mark. I can't decide what
just,
it is.
Yeah, they just that's what I was getting at. Really, is that and I know we're getting into this section next, but that's really where it gets to for me. Is the problem I have is that everything just is like, the game, as opposed to being focused, would rather just sort of spread out everywhere and just be like, we'll give you a little bit of this, 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 and then it's all, it's all mixed together in this sort of very shallow way. But, and again, that could be totally fine. Like, if the story is awesome, then it's way easier to forgive those things, right? So it just sort of depends on because like
Where
you
it's
get,
going.
yeah, and so far it's like all the characters that or they like they all everybody has a gimmick. Everybody has a shtick that they're doing, right? Like, and like even like your virtual helper is like, you know, has his own thing. Paige has his own thing. Jade is the only one that's kind of just like a very much like a normal person, but everybody else is like this very quirky sort of personality that's like, oh man, like Paige's thing, you know, is him being like very clearly like a southern farm pig that is just a good old boy trying to, you know, do right by his friends. Like that's really where like that's, you know, like even like there's times like if you accidentally hit him, he's like, well, what in tarnation are you doing swinging that thing? And you're just
stand
like,
in
oh,
front of me
Jesus.
during combat, then, jackass.
Yeah.
So did you also run into the bit of dialogue? You level up by getting these, I forget what they are now. They're not impacts, but essentially you get these little packs that give you extra hearts, much like
Yeah.
heart containers in Zelda, right? So I kept running this dialogue where Paige is like, hey, I mean, if you don't give me one of those upgrades, then I'm not gonna be too much help. I'm gonna be a burden on you. But it doesn't give you an option to give him any of those.
I never got that dialogue. That's very
Maybe it's
interesting.
because of
Yeah.
how many. Maybe it's because of how many hearts I have. I have 8 hearts, so I probably have more. Yeah,
I have 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like Press and I are playing a regular person game,
We're not
and
fun
somebody
guys.
else is fucking min-maxing guide over here.
Just make sure he gets it all.
You can buy like 3 of them. You start with 3.
I haven't looked at any shops. I haven't needed it. I just find the 2. I found the 2 in the Black Isle, and then I was like, cool, I have 4 now.
Yeah, no, you can buy a few of them too. So that's it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if you run into the same thing because like I'm sure though, even though you've gotten some, you've never had an option to give them to Paige.
No, you can give
So-
him
Energy.
health restores.
Yeah, health, yeah.
You can give him energy, right? But like he says his dialogue to me all the time. He's like, if you don't give me some of those upgrades, I'm gonna be a burden to you.
As
It's
soon as
like,
you buy them, it automatically goes to upgrade you. So
Yeah,
like,
like, I don't
I
know.
think it's just
I
I
don't
think it's
know
just random dialogue. Like, oh, it'd be nice if I get some.
I know,
It's
there's
not,
one
Yep, probably doesn't
time-
really need it.
There's one time where after the place that we go to now, when you drive around, he's like, I saw a really cool pearl collector at Ming Su's for a pretty good price. And I'm like, I don't know where that is. I have no idea what you're talking about. And also, I don't need a pearl
I just left our
sensor.
house.
I don't need a pearl sensor. I'm going to the factory because that's where I'm supposed to go. Like, I don't, where the fuck is Ming Su's? And it's not on my compass, so I don't know
It's
where the fuck.
in town. I went there.
But that's my point. Is I'm just like the way he talk, like some of his ambient dialogue. I was just like, okay, like whatever. I gotta.
So Preston, how are you feeling now? I know we haven't made it too much further, but
No, I mean it's just we're
Maybe
like
that.
we're hitting the small parts. Like we're just kind of breaking the surface.
yeah.
So yeah, going there and had the same reaction as you guys when we get to the shop. I go back there, kind of talk. I'm like outside of the whole fact that it's like you don't need to have the Jamaican accent and go further that way. I did enjoy the dialogue. I don't think it needed to have an accent to it or that theme, if you will, the Caribbean theme. Did not need to have that. But the dialogue itself is not bad. It's enjoyable. It's not poorly written. There's
No.
bad ideas on how to go about it, for sure.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Or
music's real
execution.
good. I mean, enjoying the music. I mean, again, don't really need the Caribbean theme, but it is a fine Caribbean theme song, I guess.
Yeah, all the music has been good so far.
So wait to get the races. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So as soon as we come out of the mechanic shop, we are out in we're back out in the hub world. I'm trying to figure out.
Oh,
where
we
it
should
was.
we
And
should say by
we're-
the way, the mission that we got was from Mr. Cadillac, as I was calling him. It's Castellac, but I kept
Castellac,
calling
but he
him
pulls
Mr.
up in a
Cadillac.
Cadillac. Yeah.
This
Or his assistant.
shady man and dark glasses and a suit is driving a Cadillac.
Clearly a Fed. Clearly a Fed.
Yeah, clearly a Fed. So he gives us a mission to head over to the Black Isles, and essentially, we'll get there. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But we're gonna have to fight a boss and take some pictures, submit some photos, just the basics, right? Photojournalist. Now, before we get there, we come out of our mechanic shop and we're the game, looking for its identity, throws this random like boss battle at you for two reasons. One, to say like, hey, you can have hovercraft fights throughout this game, so you're going to engage in like water battle, which was fine. I actually thought it was kind of enjoyable and it worked
Didn't
well
feel
and it's
bad.
smooth. But also like, hey, here's this like skeleton flying creature that you're gonna have to fight. So like, don't forget it's a wacky world and there's like aliens and other stuff. So like, boom, there, you know. But yeah, I actually liked the water combat. It's seamless. The way you
fine.
move around, it looked good.
So,
Felt good.
and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but if you go back and buy another upgrade, like it happens, I think it happens every time you buy an upgrade.
Oh, every time
if
you get it,
buy
it
an
pops you back
upgrade
out.
and leave the garage, something pops off.
something, but not the same thing.
Not the same
so
thing,
if you
but
buy,
something happens.
I actually don't have this in my notes, but if you toward the end of this first playthrough bit, I bought a second upgrade and there was a meteor shower.
Same.
Yeah,
when I
and it's like
left.
now. Here's the thing: is the reason I hate that is because it seals off every exit, and you're just like the game's just like just drive around and don't get hit. And I'm like, I'd rather just leave. Can I leave? And it's like, nope. I'm like, okay.
Yep. And you don't really get much for it either. It's just like, hey, this is
You dodge.
you have to
meteors.
experience.
It's the world you're
If
in.
you shoot enough of the boats around, cops will come and
Yeah.
find you.
Yep.
Yeah. So just an interesting little touch. Heaven forbid the cops come to help. They didn't do that at all. But you do get fined for shooting other people. So
Just like real life.
we are headed straight to the Black Isles. Now, because this is an open area, you actually have to go through this little town, which is like the most populated area we've seen so far. But we'll talk about that later. Like we'll come back to that because it's kind of the free roam area that builds out this world. For now, we go straight to the Black Isles. And the Black Isles is like an old mine where, again, it's pretty straightforward. This game is very linear. Like when you get to these dungeon puzzles, it's not even a question, do I go right or left? It is, you have to go right, figure out how you have to go right. And even that is not difficult. Like, I think the most complicated, the first thing you come to is like
now,
a
it
little
is the
platform
first
that you
mission
stand.
also, right? So like, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So the first mission, you come to like a platform and you need to get to a ledge higher than you, and you see the platform moves. And I'm standing on the platform like, all right, let's do this page. Like, I'm hitting, like, come on, let's do something. And he doesn't move. So then I have to run over to him, and it triggers a cutscene where he's like, hey, look at these sweet jump boots that I have.
Now,
I bet we could use these to jump up there. It's like,
real
I
quick
know.
note: these are not jump boots; they are fart boots. That is exactly what they are.
Methane exhaust is on your booty.
Yes, he has, and he
Yeah.
literally is like, now he's like, chili con carne, and then fucking farts in his fucking boots, shoot him up into the
It's
air.
like me with Taquito Cannon back in the day.
That is exactly what it is.
So yes, you use these fart boots throughout the whole first dungeon to either, like, you stand on one platform and he jumps on the other to bump you up to a ledge, or he can use them to jump and stun the enemies on the ground to give you some free shots to help defeat some enemies. There might even be one other place they use, but it's just this whole first dungeon, the whole mine section of the Black Isles is super, super linear. And if it wasn't for the fact it was broken up by a couple of minutes of like you taking photos, you could get through this thing in like 10 minutes max, right? Like start to finish.
But meanwhile,
the
I have
boss.
to fucking get smacked up by this weird little flying scorpion thing hybrid because it comes charging at me, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta get a picture really fast. And so I try to take the camera out.
What I ended
And
up
then-
doing for that was I killed him and like I gotta get the camera out real fast before he vanishes away.
Yeah, so you can do that too.
smart.
But like, I love that you.
I did
like,
Christians. You just hit him and take a picture and then get hit again.
And then the best part about it is that there's sometimes where if it's charging at you, you'll be like, I'll go to take the picture, and it'll be like perfect, but then it moves too fast, and it's like bad framing, and I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that breaks up this first dungeon is the fact you come up to a couple of chain link fences. And clearly You're going to learn an ability, and as you continue to explore, what do you know? You get a way to cut the chain link fences that can only be utilized by Paige, so you have to like get him close and hit the Y button and have him do it. And they mix it up. I don't know if you noticed this, one time in this entire dungeon. They mix it up where you cut the chain and he goes, well, that's as much as I can do. Give it a little kick.
Yep.
And you literally hit the X button and you kick it and it opens. It was like, why?
And it like bends up a little corner so you can go through.
Why?
And what's funny is all the other ones just fall over, but that one specifically you do have to kick it.
So the first one that you kind of go up to that you don't have the thing for, and you have a little section in the back with some like collectible stuff, and you have like the bridge you got to bring down. So I'm going back there to do the collectible part, but you gotta hit the thing to get like the bubble thing to pop up to hit that, so it hits the crystals in the back, so you get crystal currency or whatever. And he is stuck there at the fence. He's not moving. So I press the action button. He bounces all the way over there. That makes the thing pop up for me to hit it. And then as soon as I finish off and hit it for the last time, he starts waddling his ass over all the way over there. Like, we're done here, right? I'm like, you fucking ass. Like, okay, at least you were able to do it from over there. Because if you weren't, I would have been fucking stuck and it would have been pissed.
I'm glad. I had a similar thing happen, and I was just like, honestly, I don't care. That's great that it works from over there. That's actually good design. If they made him come over every single time, and he moves so slow. Like he is
so slow.
Yeah.
So we get to the end, and you fight a boss that is very much just the dragon from the Fire Temple in Ocarina of Time. Like, comes out of holes in the floor, spins around. You have to stun it with your friend who smacks the ground to hit him a couple times. And then eventually when you hit him enough...
Chili con carne boots.
He flies in the air and then goes... Like, it is literally the same boss.
And real quick, just before that, like the reason that this all starts is because Mr. Cadillac over there told you to take a picture of both male and female, like a husband and wife kind of deal, a male and female kind of deal, together in one photo, and that ends up being his like little antennas on his head, and then he pops out big monster. Oh, boss battle.
Yeah, which even that was very similar to the boss in Zelda, who like looks like lava flames, and then like when you get too close, moves around and comes out. Yeah. The boss battle was fine. It was the first real boss battle. I guess, the first real land boss battle you had. It was incredibly simple. It was incredibly easy.
Hopefully that's...
and again, that's
first
fine,
episode.
right?
First fight, first dungeon, whatever,
Yeah, and also, Zelda's released 15 games with boss battles that start that from stop to finish, so...
100%. So when we do that, so we get the photos, and then Mr. Cadillac, who will just that is his name now, shows up and is like, "Hey, sweet job! You did what you needed to do." And he's like, "You did such a good job. I think I would like to introduce you to my friends, because I think there's a lot of stuff going on here with the space cops and everything else, and I'm not sure everything is quite up to par."
And then Jade's like, "Who are you really?" And then he's like, "There was never any Mr. Cadillac." And he was like, "It was me the whole time." And then
and you're like, "I don't know you."
And he's like, "I'm part of Iris." And they're like, Paige is like, "You mean those traitors?" And he's like, "Oh, that's what they just label us, but we're really the underground. Like, Stars isn't what it seems, man. It's all conspiracy, man." And then,
but Iris is a revolution network that's working in the background because they believe that Alpha Sections is actually behind some of these.
They believe that Alpha Sections are other aliens that come and bleed planets dry, and then basically leave them as rocks in the back. Now, here's my thing. The thing about this scene that killed me was, I thought it was so funny that he does the whole speech, does it, and he goes, "I think we should talk more." And he's like, "Come meet us at this bar in Akuta, whatever." And he goes, "I'll give you a ride back to your thing." Right when he does that, his Cadillac opens up, and a small, tiny taxi cab comes out of it.
What the fuck?
And then he goes, "So climb in and let's do it." And I want to be like, "My man, just stay in the Cadillac, and I'll climb in that, and you can still take me." But why should I go get all scrunched up next to Fart Boy over here when you can just take me in a bigger car? And he just leaves it too.
The
Talk about a
Cadillac's
bad-
not for you.
Talk about a bad secret agent, but the Cadillac is just left there. That's just evidence, my man. You're just leaving that behind.
I have a feeling, because we don't see him again for a bit. Like, I have a feeling that he went back, he got his Cadillac. I think that's his not quite very important person taxi. So, like, you're not good enough to be in the Cadillac.
More
So he pops out the
incognito
taxi.
vehicle version.
No, I just think he looks down on us and he's like, nah, I don't know you yet. You don't deserve to be in the Cadillac.
That's not real, but I appreciate you giving extra color to it where none exists.
Sure, yeah.
Fair enough. So I'll pause here. No, you know what? Let's head to the hideout. So again, we'll talk about the open world in a minute. So eventually, and you may have done some stuff before this, but right now we're just going to focus on we get to the bar in town and we have to use our password to get into a room. So we go up to this guy at the counter and we're like, yo, man, let me give you this passphrase. And you have to play a quick game of cup and ball. I don't know what you call that.
Peepers.
His name is Peepers because he's probably blind.
No, his name, but like the game, like you put a ball under
Oh,
a
yeah,
solo
it's
cup and
the
you move the cups around.
Fireball.
He also calls the game Peepers because he's
Oh,
like,
does he?
okay.
Because he goes, "Come try your hand at Peepers."
There's a lot of inventive, creative
Maybe.
writing in this game.
That is. So essentially, you just follow the card under the cup. He moves it around. I don't know about you guys. I found that incredibly easy. Did anybody do it more than once?
I did it first try.
Wait. Two different questions. I, like most capable adults, did it on my first try. My other question was, did you play the game more than once?
No, I got the code
Okay.
and I said goodbye, sir.
Okay. Preston, it took you 2 times?
It took me 2 times. Yes. Because I thought it was on the right side. It wasn't on the right side. I'm like, I thought I was watching this properly. He did it again. I'm like, yeah, I got this right the second time. I just must have missed one. It's sleight of hand, man. That's the whole point of the game. He's got to try to trick you, okay? You fucked me once. I paid attention, a little harder attention next time. I got it, okay? Fucking adult God
So-
first time. Fuck off.
Not that this matters, but again, just
But I am marking
Checking.
something down in a notebook here on the
Boy,
side.
you do suck at games, but just making sure.
no, not that. If you play 3 times, it pops an achievement. Is all it is. So you will find that they do that a lot with some of this stuff. Where like again, it's just there's to your point, Christian. Like it's a very shallow puddle. Where they're like, hey, this game isn't hard, and it takes 10 seconds, and you can bet on it to win some money. But like, just keep going. Just keep trying. You're just like, why? Like it did what I needed to do. But 3 times will give you an achievement. So we go into the room. I don't know how long it took you to look around and find what you needed to do, but you need to go and interact with a closet. And the closet is a secret door, and you spin around, and now all of a sudden you are in Iris's hideout where you were introduced to multiple characters.
Real quick, did you find the guy who was super fucking depressed right before that in the room next to it? Like,
Yeah.
he
you open
lost
the
all
door,
his money. Yeah.
and he's like, I lost my money, I lost my family, like, I lost everything because of this fucking place. I'm like, Jesus, man. He's like drinking alone in like the other room. Like, god damn.
Yeah, dude. And then
He gives you a
you get
he gives you a
pass
card
card
with
for
a code on
something?
it
Yeah.
too.
for
Yeah.
a chest that's in some like town center thing, and he's like, I mean, you want to try it, go for it, but you'll fucking just end up here with me because fucking that chest is nothing but Depressville. And you're like, okay.
All right, man. Have fun drowning your sorrows,
can't-
pal. I got things to do
I
with
can't-
peepers over here.
Yeah, I can't wait to open this so that or open this chest so that I can be like, oh look, it's just some money. I guess I'm
It's
good.
a pearl.
And then-
Bye.
It'll be a pearl.
Be a pearl.
It'll be a pearl. So when we're in the hideout, we're introduced to a newer cast of characters that are giving us kind of their breakdown on what they believe. God, why do I keep forgetting their names? Space Cops, the Alpha sections are up to, but also that they've had an agent who was in the factory, and he's been missing
Double
for a
H.
while, and he
Now,
yeah.
I know Preston has. Alex, have you played Ratchet and Clank before?
Yes, one
This guy is a
specifically?
superhero guy without the mask on. I forget what his name is.
Dude,
Yeah.
Quark. It
Quark,
is
yes.
Captain
It is Quark
Thank
without
you.
his mask on, yes.
This secret
I did
agent
not-
is
I did not even
absolutely
put that
Captain
chin.
Quark.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
I
And he's,
didn't
like,
even put
very
that together,
confident
but
about
you were very
himself.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he's like talking. The second I saw
he
him,
even
in
He even has the goofy dialogue where he's like, I swam 2 miles, I'm so tired, but I'm
Yeah.
still going.
But
Like,
I'm still godlike, and you're like, okay. But as soon as he started reading off his dialogue and I saw his picture, I was like, oh, this is just Captain Quark. Like, 100%, this is
That is
Captain
what
Quark.
it is.
I don't remember which one came first, but that is Captain Quark.
that's interesting. That's funny. You know what? We could probably find out really quick which one came first. But essentially, that's what we are told. Like, hey, we need to go to the factory and figure out what happened to him because he is not reported in. But luckily for us, we have an M-Disc with some photos and dialogue where he was documenting his whole way into this place. And we find out that they have some Reapers. Now, we don't really know what that means yet or what they really are. But in the factory, we have Reapers, and that's where we are clearly headed next to the factory.
Ratchet and Clank came
And
out
that
in
was-
2002. So that would be like a year or two
they-
beforehand, yeah.
Ubisoft is going
At
to
the
Ubisoft.
same time, that's fine. Games take years to make,
I don't know.
especially with a crew of 30.
Yeah, but it's not a big game. May not
It's
take
a
as
very
long as you think it did.
typical stereotype. And they got really, really big man in fucking Rocco's Modern Life. That character's on a lot of places.
Good guy, Preston.
I was saying, we're just defending evil Guillemot over
I
here.
am
That's
not
fine.
doing that.
So story-wise, if anybody wanted to play along, you would be caught up with us because we're going to pick up in the factory the next time. However, that's not all you could do. So in this bustling world, there are
Clearly,
so
Mr.
many
fucking
things.
8 Hearts over here.
Oh shit, Mr. Midnight.
There's so many things you can do, and I will tell you what you can do and see which of these you did do. So, in the bar, you had a chance to play the space version of air hockey in the world's most infuriatingly, frustratingly painful, worst version of air hockey.
Aiming is not
anybody
great.
would
It's
think
not
of.
air hockey. It's like
So
a
here's the thing.
shuffleboard slash
One-
air hockey.
This game does one of the things that always irritates me, just in general about things, is that games in this era, a lot of times they would take away the D-pad for selecting things, and they make you use the analog stick. I hate is my biggest pet peeve. If I'm in a menu or I'm doing something, let me use the goddamn D-pad. This is stupid. Anyways, besides that, the problem is you only do analog
first of all,
sticks.
I was going to say, what this air hockey game is, so as you describe this, people know the frustration. You have 4 discs on your side. They have 4 discs on their side. There's a 3/4 wall in the center.
It's hourglass-shaped air hockey table.
Yeah, and then you have like a little canal essentially connecting the two.
And it's like a
your
curly
goal is to
cute
get
one.
get your 4 discs on their side. So now
Yeah.
you can.
So the problem is that when you're using those analog sticks, you would assume that you would get then the full range of motion, but you do not. It's like ticking
locks.
movement. It like
Yep.
locks. That's infuriating.
It's like northwest, west, like that sort of like
it's like
increments, yeah.
It's like an octagonal gate almost on each one.
Yeah.
You're like, I need you to just let me shoot the way that I need to shoot. This is stupid.
Yeah.
But then so you do that, and on top of the frustrating aiming, it also does this really fun thing where it does not let you select which puck
That's the worst.
you want to
It
shoot.
was the fucking
It
worst.
just
Does it for you.
fucking just chooses for you, and you're just like. So sometimes it'll be like, "Oh, did you have 2 lined up, ready to go? Here's one in the corner that you can just go fuck yourself on," and you're just like, "Thanks, game." And then by that time, the computer's just like, "Bink, bink, 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 bink," and just shoots them in at you, and you're just
I
like,
don't know if you noticed because of the way that works with like the 8 ticks around. It was like 2 in the front, 2 in the back in a square, right? 3 of them could be one shot the very first time if you line it up right. But the northeast one could never go through on the first try. They just put it in the perfect spot where you would hit the corner every time.
Yep,
And
and
I
by
was
that time-
so mad.
and it shoots it off into some random corner, and by that time, the computer player has had enough time to shoot more back into you.
Yep.
It is. It probably took me like 5 or 6 times to finally beat him, and when I finally beat him, I was like, "You scumbag piece of shit! I have your pearl."
I won the
I beat-
50 credit one. I skipped the 100 quid. When I played the
Yeah.
Pearl one, to where he won a match, I won a match, and then he won that second match, I go, good, I'm done playing this game. If I need a Pearl, I'll come back to here, but no, I'm not fucking sitting here playing this game over and over again.
Yeah, I played because it was a point of pride. I was like, I'm taking because he says so
very
smugly in
cocky.
the beginning. He's like, I mean, I'll play you, but like, I've got my lucky pearl, and no one's ever taken my lucky pearl. I'm like, well, today's the
taking
day,
the
you piece of shit. Yeah.
I did the practice, and I beat him first time both rounds in the
Yeah,
practice.
easy on practice. I was like, I smoked that dude.
I'm like, cool, let's do this. Let's go for the pearl. And to your point, Christian, it took me like 6-7 times, and I was so angry.
That
by the
third
end
round
of
I
it.
had with him, like, we just got at an end part to where it was taking forever. And I don't know if this is like
Yeah.
to the game, but I think he gets better the longer like you take, just so they can get it over with kind of deal. Just like, okay, we're gonna make it to where he's more accurate.
Maybe.
now. Because he
I
and towards
had a
the
thing
end he
where-
was fucking killing it.
I had a thing where, and I was like, video game? Like, I was so mad because, so one of the times that the game froze on me. So I should say, I know I didn't say this while we were recording yet, but I'm playing on PS3. You guys are playing on 360.
Well, 360 version.
And, well, you're playing the 360 version. I'm playing on the PS3. And it is so buggy, and like the music drops out all the time. It freezes hard. Like, it crashed my PS3 once, but this was one of the times where it had like the freezing hiccup where it froze for like 3 minutes, and it was I had the last one lined up to shoot, and it was like meh, and I was like, this game is fucking trolling me. I was like, it knows that I'm about to beat this thing, and so it wants to give it's like, no, you can't win this fast. And so it froze on me. So I had to wait like 2 or 3 minutes. And by that time, I was like, you lose the groove, right? Like, my rhythm is completely broken.
Yeah.
So you go to shoot, and it's like, bank right off the side of the wall. And I was like, dude, fuck this. Like, and because it was frozen the entire time, it was infuriating. I was like, when I beat it, I sprinted over to the save machine so I could be like, I'm never dealing with you again.
I actually believe Preston, because I noticed if it started me off and I was like, bang, got it, bang, got it, bang, got it. And the only one I had was that top one that I had to deflect over. If I beat him fast, I killed him. However, if I, like you, Christian, just was out of the groove and was like hitting the corners and stuff, the longer I went, all of a sudden he was just like pop, 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 and then I would get 1 or 2 back on him, and it would come right back immediately, and you're just like,
Yeah, like
why?
from nowhere, from the back corners of the board, he's getting them in.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my god, Steph Curry over here, Jesus.
So I frustratingly beat him 3 times, because that also unlocked an achievement for Gambler 1 or something. And the other was
ridiculous.
like Gambler 2. So that's one of the things you can do in this lively world. In that area, you could play some air hockey. The other thing you could do were races.
Yeah, I
And
love the races.
this is a fun
Loved
little
it.
addition.
Yeah.
With that being said, also loved it. With that being said, again, like shallow puddle, right? Chris? Like, just there's a lot of stuff.
It's very easy. to be fair.
Just because
Here's my problem with the race. So I only did the first 2. I didn't do the third one.
I didn't do the third one
don't know
yet
if you
either.
guys
I only
did
did
the
did
third
two.
one.
I only did
Okay.
2 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so they said the third one is somewhere behind the lighthouse. I haven't
I'll do
done
it later.
Either
Fine,
way.
sure.
Yep.
That's what I felt too. So the first 2. Here's my problem with the races. You should have just turned combat off if it wasn't going to do anything. But you can shoot at all these people, and it sets their car on fire, and they spin around. They lose no speed. They continue going whatever direction they were doing while they're spinning. And so you're just like,
Just
okay, so it's
flavor.
useless. Yeah, like you're just doing it to do it. But it's like, it doesn't do anything. Just turn it off.
I also, on top of that, I don't even know that those are necessarily set up for you to lose. Like, the first one I won no problem. The second one, it was, 3 laps, right?
Yeah.
I was in 4th place at the end of the first lap.
Like
Third
second,
place
yeah.
at the end of the second lap, and the first place person was nowhere to be seen. And I still won. Because,
Yeah.
like, just reasons, I guess. Like,
Well,
just
rubber
the-
banding, probably.
Yeah.
My guess is,
Yeah.
is that the races will get harder as you have the ability to upgrade the hovercraft
Sure.
more. That's my guess. Because there's tons of movement ability ones that are in that shop, so I'm sure it will have something
Extra
to do with it.
boosties and stuff like that. Yeah.
It was a fun diversion, but
Sure.
both combined took 5 minutes.
And probably
Yeah,
the best
right.
music so far that I've heard in the game. As soon as that fucking like racetrack goes, I'm like, man, this is fucking
Yeah,
hits.
it's
fucking
fun.
rad. I love
Yeah.
this track.
Yeah, it's good.
So those are two of the things you could do. You could do the air hockey. You could do the races. Another one you could do is Looter's Caves. Did you do Looter's Caves?
Nope.
Don't know what that is.
So Looter's Caves, if you actually took some time and kind of explored versus going straight to like the Black Isles, you might come across a couple of beaches
What'd you
in
call
the
me?
main area, like right outside of your orphanage. And when you get on, under one of them, the door is like halfway open on both of these things, but you go underneath it, and essentially you're just riding your hovercraft about 10 yards into it, and all of a sudden this like police car comes from the top. That's not a police car. They call them a looter's car, right? Like a bandit's car. Essentially, they've taken over a police car, rebranded it, and they take like 10 currency away from you, and you have to chase them down. And that was actually pretty fun and the most challenging thing I've done in this game, because it is a timed race while dodging obstacles on the hovercraft, but like there's 6 doors or 5 doors. Each one tells you, like, it'll have a number on it, and essentially they go through it and the door starts shutting, and you have to go under it before it shuts. And at the same time, if you take too much damage, you can blow up or slow down or what have you. And when you get to the end, you're in a circular arena, you shoot it down, and then it gives you a bunch of currency back, like your money plus interest back. If you die and have to restart, that 10 is gone, and you just lose another 10. But what I figured out on the first one I tried like 6 or 7 times, I made back the same amount that I lost. So you get a lot for doing it if you do it quicker.
Or not
But those
at all.
are interesting. Yeah, or not at all. Those were interesting, and honestly, the most challenging and most like unique thing I've done to this point in this game that was actually kind of fun.
I might find it. Yeah.
Just because it took
You
a
know, what'd be
challenge,
cool
right? Like,
is if the game led you there and told you to do them.
yeah. So I did 2 of those. Those also give you pearls as well, I think.
Sure.
But those
Give
are
me
fun.
70 pearls. Everything has got to give you a pearl some way or another.
Yeah. So those were the only, interestingly enough, those were the only things that brought this world to life beyond the main story. Were the air
Yeah.
hockey, the Looter's Caves, and the races. Now, with that being said, you could grab photos of 38 of the 56 creatures in the game.
I think I got 3
There's a
rolls
lot of
done.
them.
I think is what my max minimum I got. I have 3 rolls
I
done.
also did. Clearly, Preston and I are playing the
That's
same
pretty good.
game.
Yeah, that's good. I think
Yeah, you're playing
He's
a
got
different
5
game
or 6
over
rolls
there.
done.
I think I did 5, yeah, or 6.
Sounds about right.
And there are, yeah, there are some random ones, but there's some really cool ones too, like that encourage you to explore the world. So if you go to the edge of one of the maps, there's like a whale way off in the distance that you could take a picture of. But
I'm sure you
again,
found that completely on your own.
no, of course not. This is when. So once I did the story part, this is when I went to the guide.
That's what
right,
I'm
to see,
saying, is
what
like-
I'd missed.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. The game is just like, whatever. Yeah, go
This
ahead.
is the day that you
Well, so-
won
and-
game, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what I was gonna say too. Like back to just my whole complaint of the game so far is like these things were added to get you to spend time scraping these maps to find photos
Like
of creatures or
collectathon,
fauna or whatever because there's not that much there, right? Like there's not a lot there. So how do we take time? You're just scraping the map on this hovercraft and other stuff out in the world to like
and
see.
I
what we
don't
can
have
take
a
picture of.
problem. I don't want to make it sound like I have a problem with exploring and stuff because I don't. Obviously, like I it's totally fine, like map scraping and looking for certain things, but I think it's more beneficial when you tell the player that something is out. Like so, like maybe
It needs a
when
purpose.
Maybe when we left the island, like the first thing, like one of the kids were like, "Yo, by the way, Jade, I saw like the crazy, the big super whale off in the distance the other day." And you're like, "Stop it! None of those have been seen for 400 years." You're like, "No, seriously, like right behind the lighthouse. I sat here, and right at this certain time, it jumped up." And you're like, "What?" Then at least the game tells you, right? So then you're like, "Oh, okay, I guess." I remember that kid saying that maybe that's sunset or
Check it
whatever.
out.
I'll fucking drive over there and check it out. And I think it's better when
Because
you have,
there's not a bestiary, so there's not like what you're looking for.
yeah. And so like I just think I think it would be better if I think or not would be better. I think it is better when games do that instead of just like sort of go like, well, if you play the game long enough, eventually you might
No.
see this if you really
What they
scrape
have
everything.
is in that one shop you're talking about, Christian. There is an animal tracker, so that's one of the things I bought. Towards like it'll put little paws on the whole map to show you this is going to be a new animal over here, animal over here, animal over here, or anthropomorphic person. It's just something there to scan for you to get the points for. But it's you'll have those, and they do it for every collectible on there, so you can get all those maps and just be able to. Oh, I got icons on my map now in Ubisoft style, and I'm gonna go check mark those boxes off.
Yeah.
I
Which,
think
boy, I was that Preston, you nailed it right there when you said in the Ubisoft style, because all those collectibles and shit, I'm just like, God, even here, you still had this shit.
Roots in 2003, man.
Yes, like because I remember playing old Rayman games when I was a kid, and they were never like this. But there's something happened, and I don't know when it happened, but something happened.
It was the era of Banjo-Kazooie, Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, to where everything had collectibles. You had to get so many certain things to open the door to the next level.
Fair.
Like that is just a staple of that type of game back then.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you could have done something else too. So like, I feel like if I'm going to take all these pictures, not even take them. I'm fine with taking photos. If I'm going to look for the ones that aren't just apparent, right? If I'm going to scrape the map for these things, I need to either know my purpose, and right now I don't, beyond like, oh, you're collecting them for science, but like I don't know to what end.
And money.
Right?
Well,
so, like,
we're doing it for money so that we can pay our bills.
Sure, so you're doing it for money, but like I feel like you could have done that in a cooler way, which my recommendation would be like, I don't know, maybe there's a competition. Like maybe some magazine is running a competition. You're a photojournalist, so you thought you could take who can take the best picture, the most unique creature. Like maybe you have different categories. So then you know, like, yeah, I see basic ones, or I see people, or like, oh, I'm gonna go look for these things that maybe I hear whispers about, or I'm given a hint about, or something. Just a more creative way to drive you forward. So that's where we're at now. My overall reaction to the first part is I'm interested to see where the story goes. It's very early on, because though I played for 3.5-ish hours, really the main story was only 35 minutes, right?
Games,
so I'm interested to see where it goes, because right now, and I love the way you put it, Christian, it is a very shallow puddle, like a big shallow puddle. So it's wide, but there's not much there, and all of the stuff that you experience, you have experienced somewhere else, right? In other games or what have you. So that's where I'm at. I'm interested. I'm not hating on it. I have no rating on it right now. I'm going to keep playing it, and I'm enjoying my play with it, my time with it. But I don't know. I'm kind of at this like crossroads to say like this game could go either way for me at this point in time, and I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think the game has charm. Like, it's there. I mean, like, the dude,
like,
he's there. Like, it's the little, like, I guess it's a Frenchman or whoever's, like, talking to you. He's not even French. No, he's Spanish, because he changes all the A's to uns and unas and stuff like that. So, like, he's selective Spanish, which, guess what? Hispanic people fucking hate is when you use selective Spanish words in the middle of English. Like, no, speak Spanish or speak English. Do one of those two things. And it's just it can be maddening, but he's got character, he's got like the charisma kind of deal. So I don't hate it. There are characters there that I'm kind of enjoying, but
no, the game definitely has charm, and like, and even with Paige, like I make fun of him for having fart boots, whatever. But like that was like a chuckle scene, like right, like when he fucking lets him off and screams "chili con carne." You're like, that's I
the methane exhaust, and he shows the vent on the back of his butt. I'm like, okay, all right,
yeah, and you're like, and I'm like. Yeah, it's those moments where you go like, I know that back in 2002 or 4, whenever the game came out, where you're like,
I was 13. I would have giggled the shit out about that. Yeah.
Why somebody who thought this was good? Like I think it's all.
I would have been at school being like, my methane exhaust. Yeah.
You would have been older than 13, Preston.
Preston just
2003. Yeah, I guess I'd be 15, 14,
20 years
15.
ago.
Preston sprinting
16.
through the hallway at high school, screaming "chili con carne."
That and Austin Powers quotes. That's all I did in high school.
Oh, amazing. So that brings us to the end of our video game book club on Beyond Good and Evil Part 1. Right now I'm thinking this is going to be a 3-parter. I think this is fast enough where we're probably going to have a Part 2 and an end, right?
Okay. I think we can handle Part 2. It just seems like this, like, first part, like, I did play it for almost 3 hours, but it just felt shorter. It felt like I didn't do a whole
Yeah.
heck of a lot. I'm like, we could probably, if you're thinking like maybe a third section, we could probably do section 2 and 3 all in the next go.
Yeah. So where are
You
we
want to try
stopping?
it?
can try it.
So let's try it. Let's try it. So I'm pulling up the levels now because I was not prepared and should have been.
Okay.
So we did the Black Isle mines. From there, we're going to the factory. So we're going to do the factory. We are going to do the slaughterhouse. Excited
Sounds horrible.
about that.
Sorry, Paige.
Sounds horrible.
I mean, it's a lot of
And
animals, people.
we're gonna do the end. I'm not gonna say the ending location because it's gonna be a spoiler. However,
What?
there's three locations.
The last ending
Wait,
is supposed
left?
to be a spoiler. Also, it told us that in there, and like the whole like you're gonna go to the factory, you're gonna go to this, and you're gonna go to the other spot, which we've already mentioned that we saw the upgrade for.
Wait.
Yeah, it
The ending of this or the end of the game
Game.
is what you're saying.
the end of the game is only three more locations.
Yeah, you got the factory, you got the thing, and you got
yeah
this.
factory slaughterhouse and the final
Oh, so
place.
we're just gonna try to finish it next. Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah, let's try
All
it.
right.
We'll see what
All right,
happens.
guys. The game ends.
it-
The game ends next week.
if for
It's
some
fun
no,
game, sure
we'll say if for some reason we'll leave it open because if for some reason we find it's going long, we're gonna stop at the after the slaughterhouse. So we're gonna do we will for sure do factory and slaughterhouse. We're gonna try and push through, but if not, we'll let
Keep
you
an
know.
eye on the socials.
Yes, keep it on the socials.
Yeah,
We'll let
yep,
you know.
yep.
But yeah.
Yep.
Lastly, for those of you who are wondering, seeing as how everyone thinks I'm a furry, Cat Girl in the Agent Area HQ is cute. She's got a little bit of a Hey Arnold face ahead, but yeah, that's okay. I'm not gonna kick her out of bed for doing catnip. All right.
That's a bit of a
A
hey,
little
Arnold.
hey Arnold face.
got a very odd
and
long
he goes,
face.
but that's okay. Oh, I just imagine he just like Louis. He's like, "What's up, football head?"
I am Helga Pataki in this scenario.
Not gonna kick her out of bed for doing a bit of catnip.
Stoop kid refuses to leave his stoop.
Yep. And with that, everybody, we will see you next week in Preston. You know what to do.
Move it, football head.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.